Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world. Tonight on the Black Channel, it is a Black Channel, proud Black Channel tradition. White supremacy never takes a holiday, and neither do we. So, I am pleased once again to be here gathered together with all of the true believers. And there are phonies out there who will not be named. And of course, they'll make all manner of excuses, but the true believers are here because white supremacy does not take a holiday, and neither do you. We have a lot I want to cover here in tonight's program. We have a lot I want to cover here. So I'm going to go ahead and jump off into it. Because there's a few things I'm going to go over, actually. So this will be a little bit different than what I usually do, because usually I don't cover subjects. I don't usually cover subjects when it's time to do a holiday program. I usually kind of leave it a lot more open. But tonight will be a difference because, you know, the white supremacists, the Tucker Carlsons and their ilk, they've been running around parroting a lie. They've been doing it over and over again. They've been recirculating it. They've been recycling it. People are asking me about these things, and it's necessary to give you the intellectual firepower that you need to be able to defeat those things. They run around talking about DEI. There is no preferential treatment except if you are a white male. What they mean is that they see their dominance being in danger because they no longer can guarantee the unearned privileges that up until this point were guaranteed to them. They are saying that the issue that they're having is that they are no longer able to just force the unearned privileges. That they're no longer just able to take that for granted. Now, the question you have to ask yourself is, are white males losing anything? They swear up and down every time you turn around. Well, take a look at college. White men are leaving college voluntarily. They've got access to anything they want. They're leaving on their own. They're not being denied anything. What they're saying is, why don't you give us everything like we've been given before? Why don't they give it to us? But why don't we go ahead and take a look at the numbers, and let's see what the numbers say. Let's go ahead and take a look at that and see if they're losing. Let's see who it is who's losing something. Because the numbers will tell us if white men are losing something, it should be real easy and real quick to be able to identify whatever that is. And there should be the numbers to show it and prove it if they're actually losing anything. Well, let's take a look at what they got, and let's take a look at what everybody else has got here. All right, I'm going to skip down here, and this is from the census. This first part up here really tells you everything that you need to know. It really tells you everything you need to know. This part right here. A householder, this is how they're counting households. A householder is a person who owns or rents a housing unit and whose name appears on the deed or lease. In this article, white is used to describe non-Hispanic white householders, which means that this number actually goes up, which means that these are actually low ball numbers for white men that you're about to see. These are actually low numbers. Black householders can be either Hispanic or non-Hispanic. In 2021, households with a white householder, talking about Anglos, made up 65.3% of all U.S. households and held 80% of all wealth. There's 65% of U.S. households, but 80% of all wealth. Bring Tucker Carlson's forked-tongued demonic ass over here to explain now, where are you losing again? 65% of the households, but you're not 65% of the wealth. You're 80% of the wealth, and actually over 80%, more like 90%. When you get into population numbers, those with a black householder made up 13% of all U.S. households, but held only 4.7% of all wealth. People, that's not natural selection. That's engineered. You cannot have a number like that exist and it's not engineered. The white dudes, they have more wealth than they have people. And for black folk, you got less wealth than you have people. That's not natural. That cannot occur unless someone has designed it and engineered it and is actively working every day to reinforce that to be the outcome. An engineered, sabotaged outcome. Engineered preference for white men, engineered sabotage for black people. I don't have to read everything else on here. I can just stop at just these 2 paragraphs here, and that's everything you need to see. I don't need to go further. I will, but you don't have to go any further than this. So when they start whining and complaining, what they're saying is all of the racial preferences that they've engineered into the system, they're like, wait a minute. They understand that even if it's something small, that eventually that will be a threat to their overwhelming preferential treatment that they get. And they're here to make sure that does not ever change, because once it crumbles all the way. Households with a black householder were more than likely than those with a white householder to have unsecured debt, 61% to 53%, especially student loans, 25% to 17%, and medical debt, 22% to 13.4%. That's not accidental. That is not accidental. Let's go ahead and go down through the numbers here, folks. If you take a look at the numbers here, distribution of household net worth by amount of net worth and race of householder. So amount of net worth and race of householder. White versus black, which just basically boils it down, distills it down for you. Net worth of 0 or negative. Well, for white, it's 8.6, but for black, 23.6. That is not natural. That's not natural right there. And of course, the white supremacists know this, which is why they're trying to maintain their white privilege and their unearned benefits at our expense. To have $1 to $4,999, 5% for white, 12% for black, but these numbers are misleading. These numbers are misleading because you would think that that's a good thing. Well, there are more black folk who got more than white folk at this point, and you're misunderstanding the graph if you think that is. This ain't wealth, people. $4,000, that's not wealth. What they're telling you is there's very few white folk who fall in the cracks. What this number is telling you is there's actually few white people who fall in the cracks. That's what it's telling you. Black folk are stuck in the cracks. Very few white folk who actually fall in there. $5,000 to $999. Well, you got 2% white, 5% black. $10,000 to $24,000. 4.6% white, 8% black. $25,000 to $49,000. 5.6% white, 7.6% black. What this is telling you is that at these levels here, white folk, that's not where their money is. Most of them are outside of this range. Once we get to right below 6 figures, $50,000 to $99,999. White is 7.8, black is 9.2. Once we get to the six-figure range, disposable income, capital, where you can leverage that and use it for something, substantial, because the dollar is being devalued and inflation eats up everything else. Once you get in this six-figure range, 100, as soon as we cross six figures, people, 100,000 to 249,999, all of a sudden, white blows past you and never looks back. 16% for whites, 13.2 for black, 250,000 to almost $500,000, 15.4% for white, 9.4%. You see how the black number, not only did white shoot ahead, the black number is falling back. Take a look at where the black numbers were compared even to below $199,000, and then take a look at where it is here now. That number falls and does not look back after that. 500,000 to 999,000, 14.2% for white, 5.1% for black. And then for $1 million and over, we're talking about net worth, people. So we're talking about counting everything that a black person has. If you count your whole life, only 5.3%, which is no change from the $500,000. So practically no change, which means we basically stagnate. At $500,000, we basically stagnate, not the white wealth, while the white wealth keeps trucking. 20%. I mean, 4 times. What I'm saying is that show me where the white men are losing anything, because I can show you where they've got a bunch of stuff they did not earn, and I can show you where they dominate at all the wealth. So when they go crying, they know that they're lying. What they're saying is, wait a minute, damn it. There's a nigga over there who has a 0.000.1% chance of not being struggling. And I would have to actually compete. And I am here specifically because we are not here to compete. When I interviewed white supremacist Richard Spencer, I have him on video. For those of you who saw my documentary film, Race War, he sat there and said it. No, I don't believe in competition. I don't believe in fairness. Outside of maybe symbolic things like sports. But sports doesn't have an effect on the real world in that direct manner. Those are symbolic. Other than that, I don't believe in fairness outside of maybe sports or something like that. But as far as societal control and dominance, oh, no. That's not up for fairness. That's our white birthright. That has nothing to do with whether you work harder than us, you earn more than us, you do better than us. No. We are here specifically to put our finger on the scales and to rig the system to give us generational dominance and wealth. It is not about whether you're better than us at doing something. This is our birthright, and you are automatically excluded. And that's what all of these protestations and online arguments and videos and other bull crap are about. It's about them sounding the alarm. Remember, we have to lie, cheat, and steal for dominance. Oh, look at college over here, the colleges you don't even go to. We have to lie, cheat, and steal for dominance. Is everybody getting together on the same page to agree we are here to lie and cheat and steal for dominance? We'll make up a lie that we're being targeted or something. We're the ones targeting everybody. And as soon as we're no longer allowed to target black people, we will tell people that we are the ones being targeted. As soon as somebody removes the weapon from our hands that we've been using to assault these people, we will then tell you that we the assailant, we are the ones being targeted. We're the assailant, but if we're not allowed to assail you, well, we've been targeted. How are you being targeted? You own everything. You've got everything. Show us where you're losing. The only place they'll tell you is, well, we're not revered anymore like we were. People don't worship us. When we turn on the TV and the movies, the white man isn't always the hero. He isn't always the savior anymore. So there's the problem. We turned on the TV and we saw a black person was the hero and the savior, and there's the problem. We're not worshipped. And if we're not worshipped, then something's wrong. So just understand what their real issues are. When you go over to urban.org, 9 charts about wealth inequality in America. Wealth is increasing, but so is inequality, which means that the wealth is only going to white people. That's what it means. In 1963, the wealthiest families, white, had 36 times the wealth of families in the middle of the wealth distribution. By 2022, they had 71 times the wealth of families in the middle. Families near the bottom of the wealth distribution, those at the 10th percentile, went from $23 in debt to $450 in wealth. That sounds good till you read everything else. Those in the middle nearly quadrupled their wealth from $50,000 to $192,000. Those near the top at the 90th percentile saw their wealth increase more than sixfold, from $294,573 to $1.9 million. And the wealthiest families, those wealthier than 99% of all families, saw their wealth increase more than sevenfold, from $1.8 million to $13.6 million. Wealth gaps by race and ethnicity are large. You can see on here for so-called Hispanic and Black, they're down here together. For white, $1,361,806. Damn! Where are the white males? Show us where you're losing again, because we hear you cranking out this lie, and I'm looking for the documentation. Show me where you're losing. Because I'm telling you the game that you've engineered this and rigged this, and I'm showing you where you did, and these are the results. If you're losing, show us the results that show that something's being taken from you, because I can show you the documentation and the data that you're taking from us. Show us what's being taken from you. When we actually look at the numbers, all of a sudden, the high IQ people, as if, all of a sudden the high IQ people don't want to talk anymore. Over the past 4 decades, the difference in wealth held by white, black, and Hispanic families has grown. In 1983, the average grown should be in parentheses, in quotations. In 1983, the average wealth of white families was about $320,000 higher than the average wealth of black families and Hispanic families. People, let me stop right here. By 1983, white families had $320,000 higher wealth than black families. Do you realize that this presents an obstacle that cannot be overcome? Back in 1983, when the dollar was still worth something and they had $320,000 more, that means they can literally do everything. Back in 1983, that meant that essentially white families could do everything without having to borrow anything. So at this point here, what I'm telling you is that this is what we meant by they stole all the wealth, because by this point, they're doing nothing but using their wealth to gain more wealth. It doesn't require them to work to gain this anymore. This is simply wealth that is being transferred and handed over. No debt attached, no debt required, just picked up and handed over. By 2022, white families' average wealth, $1.4 million, and was more than $1 million higher than that of black families, $211,596, and Hispanic families, $227,544, higher than black, by the way. Did you get that? Their wealth at $1.4 million. For black families, the wealth is only $211. They've got over $1 million more wealth, which today you really need $1 million to be financially upwardly mobile. Back in 1983, $320,000 made sure you were set. But now in the 2020s, having $1 million gap, $1 million edge, well, there's not very much you can't do now. I mean, that $1 million will basically keep working for you. These folks over here with $211,000 of quote wealth, which includes the roof over their heads, which they can't liquidate without losing the roof over their head. If you got $1 million, you can liquidate the roof over your head and still have $1 million left over. That's what I want you all to understand. So when Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump, anybody else tries out the lies, all you got to do is just ask them, tell us the data where you're losing, and then you show them the numbers. It falls apart very quickly, people. There's a reason why they do this mess with other folk, and they won't dare talk to the new black media because, yeah, it'll get decapitated very quickly. People, if I spot you $1 million, you can literally liquidate your home. With the average mortgage home price today being about $400,000 to $450,000, you can literally liquidate that and you'll still have $1 million left over, which is what we see across America right now. This is what we see across America right now. Across America right now, what you see are a bunch of folks here. They're moving from New York and other places, and they're picking up, they're selling, allegedly selling what they have, and then They go somewhere else. They go to Carolinas. They go to Alabama. They're going to Mississippi. They're going to Arkansas. By the way, for those of you who think it's just an Alabama thing or a Tennessee thing, they're going to Arkansas now. Not just talking about the suspected white supremacist talking about he wants to build a white enclave. What I'm saying, though, is that they can sell their house in New York. They take their money. They got a few $1 million left over. They go buy a $300,000 house in Arkansas, and they've got over $1 million left over. You add that together with their pension, with their Social Security. You take a look at those legs right there standing, and then they'll tell you that they're struggling. Meanwhile, he sold the house he was at in New York, sold the house he was at in Connecticut, moved somewhere else, and he's still got $1 million or a couple of $1 million in the bank. Meanwhile, you still trying to get $1 million. Meanwhile, you have a fifth of that. A fifth. He's coming to your state with a couple of $1 million on his back and paid cash for the house. You got a fifth of that. You haven't even made it there yet. He's got $1 million of disposable wealth that by this point, he's not going to squander it. So what I'm saying is, yeah, do you understand now? When they talk about what they're losing and then you ask, what exactly are you losing? What they're saying is, I'm losing the ability to exploit and dominate you. I'm losing the ability to rob and exploit you. You might, if your wealth gets up some more, you might be able to stop me from doing that. So I'm losing the ability to dominate and exploit you. That's the only thing they're, quote, losing. In 2022, the Survey of Consumer Finances disaggregated data for Asian families for the first time. For the first time, Asian families' average wealth was $1.8 million, 1.3 times the average wealth of white families. However, more disaggregated local analyses point to large differences in wealth among Asian Americans. The differences in wealth accumulation by race are the result of structural racism. Structural racism refers to the historic and current practices, policies, programs, and institutional practices that facilitate wealth accumulation by white families while creating barriers to wealth, building for or stripping wealth from families of color. Nonsense. The color part, but in any case, Asians are brought over to be used and they are strictly controlled in where they go. For black people, on the other hand, we've already covered this before. from whether you want to get into financial services, your degree, they tell you go get a degree. The degree does not get you into financial services. The degree does not get you into stock trading. All these places where you see nothing but white men, Bill Ackman, Steve Cohen, Michael Bloomberg. Yeah, that's a closed club that is by invitation only. Your degree cannot get you in. It's by invitation only. And then when you ask, by the way, we couldn't help but notice you're only sending out invitations to the white males. Where are the black folk getting their invitation? Nobody wants to talk about that being taken from you. Now, you figure if they're so concerned about folks taking things, why is it that they're not doing wall-to-wall programs over there at Tucker, the white sucker Carlson? Why is he not doing daily programs about that? Because you would be overflowing with content. And yet, not a word. White supremacists are already beaten, people. The fact that they run from these things, they're already beaten. They're already beaten. The wealth gap between black and white families widens with age. Now, this is an important one. On average, white families accumulate more wealth over their lives than black or Hispanic families in the same age group, widening the wealth gap at older ages. Consider those born between 1943 and 1951. When they were roughly in their 30s in 1983, the average wealth gap between the white and black families, so they're talking about the boomers here, folks. They're talking about the boomer / civil rights generation. This is who they're talking about. And when you take a look at the charts over here, by the time they came of age in the 80s, you take a look at how much closer the wealth was. Take a look at how much closer it was, and then you can see who was building up assets to pass a damn thing on. Take a look. They weaponized over here and said, oh, we got to get ahead of them niggas. You can see what the civil rights generation did once they got grown. Take a look at how close they were to white wealth then. Take a look at it now. It's damn near remained flat. So they're showing you what they did. Cocaine, bastard babies, out of control consumerism, chasing white validation. That's what they did while the white society was financially and economically arming itself. Consider those born between 1943 and 1951. When they were roughly in their 30s in 1983, the average wealth gap between white and black families was $181,677, with white families having 3 times as much wealth as black families. By 2022, when they were in their 70s, by the time these old bastards get old, that gap surpassed 1.4 million. And the average white family had more than 4 times the wealth of the average black family. So back when the dollar was still worth something, they only had 3 times as much as us. The civil rights generation squandered everything, chasing interracial sexual access and other buffoonery, coonery, and baboonery. And now it's 4 times the wealth. Well, yeah, that's what happens when you have to start over. You see, my generation, Gen X, you don't ever hear us say, I got it on my own, let them kids get whatever. The civil rights generation became hideously infamous for that. They became hideously infamous for saying, I had to get it myself, which was a damn lie. It was given to them by the World War II generation. So they have a lot in common with the white supremacists, unfortunately. But by the way, the numbers don't lie. Differences in lifetime earnings. Now, here's where the rubber meets the road, because this tells you how it's going to start. And this tells you how it ends when we add up your entire life earnings. Money saved from earnings is a source of wealth. Money saved from earnings, from your labor. That's the critical part here. Earnings from your labor, hopefully your labor and not just capital gains, is a source. It is one source of wealth building for many workers. But earnings differ by race and gender. We can talk about that when the folks want to. You won't be pleased. The average white man between ages 58 and 62 in 2022 earned $2.9 million over his career, while the average black man earned $1.8 million. Folks, how can you lose if I spot you over $1 million? I'm spotting you over $1 million, more than $1 million. You're the one taking. You can't get to this number without you doing what we said. If we were taking from you, these numbers would be inverted. People, if we were taking from anybody, these numbers would be inverted. You would see us with a bunch of unearned wealth just coasting and cruising, and these other folks would be struggling. So just understand, white supremacy is about pathological lying. They have to, because it's not about truth or honesty. It's all about dominance. Women earn less overall, but gaps remain. The average white woman earned $1.7 million over her career, while the average black, so she earns almost as much as black men. The same as Hispanic men, almost as much as black men. The average black woman earned $1.3 million, and the average Hispanic woman earned $883,000. These are black Hispanics, except for illegals. Now, here's the critical part. When they talk to you about, well, y'all need to just get educated, y'all just need to go to school, educational attainment is not enough to overcome these differences. Even among people who have a bachelor's degree, all women of color earn less on average than white women. What? And all men of color earn less on average than white men. So even when you add a, quote, degree to the equation, it still isn't going to help you. So what that tells you is that this number, 2.9 million, this is not a product of the white male being, quote, more educated, more ambitious, works harder, all this garbage that the coons and bedwenches went around talking. This number can't be that, because otherwise having degrees would balance everything out. But it doesn't. Having a degree does not give you parity. You will not get the same compensation even with your degree that they give themselves, because they are taking it from you and then turn around and telling you that if you don't call them God, you're taking something from them because you won't call them God and Daddy. So when you take a look at these charts over here, that tells you a lot. Now, I would like to tell you that your political leaders and whatnot are on top of these things. I would like to tell you that they're on top of something, all right? They're on top of your damn neck. They're on top of your neck is what they're doing. Give you a case in point here. Saw this from a couple of weeks ago here. You can see this on LinkedIn, among other places. Atlanta aims to be Africa's economic gateway.
Nigga, what?
Atlanta pitches itself as America's gateway to Africa as ties to Washington fray. Mayor Andre Dickens wants to make the, quote, capital of black business, the continent's, they're talking about the African continent's, go-to economic partner, while the Trump administration strains relations with key African partners, and while the Africans strain their relations to us here in America. Atlanta, never one to back down from coonery and buffoonery, is positioning itself as a welcoming hub for visitors from across the continent. Please show me where Africa is reciprocating. Andre the Dunce Dickens, show me where Africa is reciprocating with us. And I won't wait. Mayor Andre Dickens aims to make the capital of black business Africa's preferred economic gateway. Atlanta is actively positioning itself as America's gateway to Africa, working to strengthen trade, investment, and cultural ties with the continent. This effort is driven by the city's leadership and its significant African American heritage and business community. Okay, how is that a benefit to us? If they're not reciprocating, then how is this, quote, African American heritage a benefit to us in America? You're talking about how it's going to benefit Africans. How is this a benefit to us? What are they offering us? Because I see what they're offering the Asians, the Russians, the French, the British, the Chinese. I see what they're offering them. What are they offering us? Key aspects of this initiative include political and cultural leadership. Okay, what is the leadership that Africa's offering us again? Asking for a friend. Atlanta's history, including electing the first African-American mayor of a major southern U.S. city, provides a strong foundation for current efforts. Okay, folks, all I can say is the dunderhead writing this. What kind of crack-smoking nigga? Dude, what's your point, man? What the hell's your point? Well, we elected our own people from the soil. Okay, then what do we need the Africans again for? What do you, okay, what are you advocating for us to do here then? These are all things we did ourselves. They didn't have anything to do with this. So what the hell? Y'all, they cutting the damn crack with something new in Atlanta. They doing something down there. Foot powder or something. Current Mayor Andre Dickens continues this tradition with initiatives aimed at connecting Atlanta and African cities. Okay, this sounds like Akon. Economic strategy. The city aims to become a major hub for transatlantic exchange, fostering business, education, and investment opportunities. What investment is Africa offering us on American soil? What is the investment that Africa is offering us on American soil? Can you name one thing that they're going to invest here? Not them coming over here, bumming off of us and bumming a handout. What is the financial thing they're going to send over here? Keep your black ass in Africa. What is the thing you're going to send over here? Because what you want us to do is send something to Africa, everything except ourselves. You want us to send money. You want us to send resources, but you don't want us to come to Africa. Well, I will deal with you on that basis. What are you sending over here? No, not you coming over here bumming. No, what are you sending over here that doesn't include you showing up in person? Because that's the benefit you can provide. If you can't name what you're going to do other than come over here and beg, that's not a benefit. Well, it's a benefit to you. Figures like former U.S. Ambassador to South Africa, Ruben Brigidi, have publicly supported the vision, of course, because they need a job and a check. That's what they get paid to do, is bum for ambassadorships. Well, all they do is just spend a bunch of money globetrotting. Emphasizing Africa's future role in the global economy. Okay, but we don't need to help with that until they start offering us something, which they're currently not doing. No tangibles, no hope. I thought it was no tangibles, no vote. No tangibles, no hope.
And deal with it, nigga.
Those are the rules now. No tangibles, no hope. Focus on black business. Atlanta is often referred to as the capital of black business, and the current administration aims to leverage the status to make it Africa's preferred economic gateway. In what way? Still not saying what they're going to offer. Community and events. The city hosts various events celebrating African culture and business, such as the Atlanta African Restaurant Week Festival and the African Film Festival Atlanta, reflecting a strong local connection to the continent. People, where is the FBA Freedman Restaurant Week in Africa. Where is that? See, this one-way stuff right here, this just sounds like more of what happened with the white supremacists and Asian, Middle Eastern, Jewish society. This is more of that. It's a one-way damn street. We give resources and they capitalize on it and they don't ever kick nothing back. So this is why we're saying, yeah, to hell with that. While other U.S. cities have large African populations, and what good has that done? Hey, by the way, what does Minnesota's native black population have to show for all those Somalis who've shown up and brag about marrying white people? Show me. What do you have to show for that? All the Somalis, all the Ethiopians. Show me. What do you have to show for that? All over New York, all over Florida. Okay, and what do those places have to show for all these African immigrants? Certainly not solidarity and economics. They're not contributing to the economics of the black business. They contribute to the economics of the Nigerian business, of the Ethiopian business, of the Somali business. That's all they do. Well, that and scamming, but yes. Atlanta's distinct push for official gateway status through subnational diplomacy. Subnational, that means without the federal government. What you gonna do without the federal damn government, stupid? Highlights its unique focus and ambition to become the primary hub for U.S.-Africa relations and shifting U.S. foreign policy dynamics. This means nothing. This means absolutely nothing. For African countries, Atlanta's emergence as a gateway offers both opportunity and caution. Okay, what is the opportunity that they're offering us? No one ever explains that. On one hand, it provides new pathways for trade, investment, and cultural exchange through diaspora Pan-African networks. You don't have any. Show me where the diaspora network is. I can show you a bunch of immigrants who come over here begging and bumming. Show me where the diaspora network is, where they are opening doors for us in Africa. Show me where that is. Now, that should be very simple. You should be able to very easily point to and say, hey, there it is right there, and it's paying dividends, because I can show you where all of us have access to China. You can't show us where we have any access to Africa. And so all this diaspora stuff, this is supposed to try to appeal to our nostalgia. Oh, well, you're just displaced Africans. Here's the issue, all you lying baboons in both social media and politics. You cannot sell me on the lie that I am simply a displaced or I'm just a lost African, because in order for me to value that word, you have to show me where my Africanness is honored in Africa. You cannot convince me or hoodwink me or gaslight me into thinking that I am just some temporarily displaced African until you show me where my African credentials are honored in Africa. That's the phrase right there, folks. That's the sentence right there. If you are a displaced African who has just been dispersed or diasporaed, well, then you should be able to show me where my Africanness is honored on African soil. And that's the problem, is no one can show us where our alleged where in Africa our alleged Africanness is honored. Now, Africans get their Africanness honored on American soil, both in word and deed and law. Meanwhile, you have black nations that have conspired together to say, yeah, Pan-Africanism stops at the African shore. So this is all gobbledygook and garbage. Now it says cultural exchange through diaspora networks and city-level initiatives complementing national and level agreements and continental strategies like the AFCTFA. Sounds like a grift. On the other hand, it cannot replace formal agreements or federal level guarantees, which remain critical for long-term strategic and economic stability. Economic stability for who? Economic stability for who? This dynamic reflects a broader shift in U.S.-Africa engagement, where city-led and network-based diplomacy is becoming an increasingly important supplement to traditional government-to-government relations, especially in Trump's administration America First policy. Okay, whoever this immigrant here is, and not spell checking or anything. Look here, folks, what this seems to me is that you have a mayor who's looking to see if he can position himself for some sort of bigger office or some ambassadorship. After all, take a look at, Keisha Bottom B. So you have yet another Atlanta politician who's looking to see if he can use this as a stepping stone to get elevated to higher political office. Oh, look at how much good I've done for the Democrat Party. Y'all need to give me an ambassadorship or a cabinet position. Just leapfrog me over rolling the bowling ball, Martin. So if y'all want to know what this is really about, that's what that's really about. It's really about that there. Because understand something here, to this jackass you call a mayor in Atlanta, you got black folks sitting right there in Atlanta. You want to do something for black business, you do it for black folk right there in Atlanta. You got black folk in Atlanta right there. We shouldn't have to show up to a single damn city council. We shouldn't have to show up to a single damn metropolitan planning commission. We shouldn't have to show up for a damn thing. Y'all should be getting it done every damn day. We shouldn't have to show up for nothing. And that white privilege all these other folks got there, we're supposed to be having that in Atlanta. You're supposed to already have that sewn up. They're talking about every damn thing except enriching and empowering the black folk where we are, which tells you it's the white Democrats telling them, well, you need to do something to help the party. So this garbage they talking about here is to help the party, not us. Not us. Recognize what that is, and when they put these goofballs in office like that, just recognize what it is they're really doing. Yet another empty suit tossed into the place. Another empty suit tossed into the place. And his job is to undermine the native black population and to boost all these other folks. That's what it becomes. And I will say this right now, if you really want to know where a lot of this comes from, go take a look and see who these people are sleeping with, or who they laying up with, or who they have a preference for.
What? Damn!
You go digging through the crates. If you go digging through the crates, I think you'll find some answers. So if you want to know what your so-called black leadership is doing, if you want to know what they're up to, this just gives you a heads up about what they are up to here. I know a little bit heavy here tonight, but I wanted to go ahead and touch on that. Before we got too far along here. Few other things I also want to touch on here as well. But before we do, I want to thank everyone, and I do mean everybody who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Shout out to DMV Nation. Thank you very much for your support tonight. DMV Nation, thank you very much. We appreciate that. Logic Before Emotion, thank you for giving out some memberships here. The gift that keeps on giving. To my man, Mr. Richburg, up on the holidays, as always. Thank you very much for your support. To Andrew L., Mr. Fremont, and to everyone else here who has joined us here tonight, thank you all. You could be doing anything and everything. You could be doing anything and everything here tonight, but this is why you are here, because this is the only place that reflects exactly what you all are thinking. Thousands and thousands of you here. Let me give you all a brief reminder. When I began doing this, when I cracked this tome open, when I started the new black media almost 20 years ago, Remember, on Christmas, you might have had 50 people here. We practice what we preach. When I first started the Black Channel, when I first started this, man, it wasn't thousands of people here. It was dozens. It was literally dozens. And we've kept at it and kept with it, with literally everybody, including the old dead black media, working against us. We kept at it, and take a look at where we're at today. Even on the holidays, we are no longer measured in the dozens. We're measured in the thousands. You get together with 5 other black folk who are dead serious. That's what you do. Not 500, just a few of you. You get together with a few of you and all of you are equally serious. You're going to move mountains and continents and topple empires. Especially if you can remain consistent. Consistency is difficult for a lot of people because consistency is repetitive. Consistency means, can you keep doing the same thing day after day, day after day, day after day, over and over again until you create a different result? I know Einstein told you insanity was doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Well, Jason Black is here to tell you I'm smarter than Einstein. What? I'm here to tell you tonight I know something Einstein didn't know because, well, Einstein, in order to accomplish anything, you have to be consistent. Consistent means coming back and doing the same thing every day until you get a different result. You want to build a house, you keep stacking bricks until you get a different result. You want to save up $1 million, you keep going to work every day if you don't have anybody to give it to you until you earn $1 million. Well, doing the same thing over and over again will create a different result. So, yeah. Jason, damn, that makes sense. Uh-huh. Yeah, next time somebody sits up here and tells you about whose knowledge you can't question, by the way, I just showed you that we're smarter than Einstein. He said you can't doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result is insanity. I say doing the same thing over, the same competent thing over and over again, expecting a different result is consistency. And I think we all know who's right. I think we all know who's correct here. However, it is possible that you disagree. It is possible that you do. Therefore, we're going to go ahead and open up the Zoom for everyone here tonight. I know it's a holiday. I know some of y'all are watching sports or whatever in the hell is on today. I know they have Thanksgiving football, but I like this tonight because we get to distill this down to the true believers. We get to distill this down to the real people. We get to distill this down to the real riders, and this is what I live for. I live for moments and nights just like this. You can't do the same damn thing decade at this point now. It's not year after year, folks. It's decade after decade. You don't do the same thing decade after decade, and this is not what you truly believe in. Not when it costs you this much. You don't do the same thing decade after decade, and it's not what you really believe in. So I want to tell you, as much as you all may like coming here on holidays, I am honored to do so because I know that I'm among folks who really believe this. You eat this, drink this, sleep this, think this, breathe this, feel this, live this, love this. It is everything that we are. We don't have everybody here with us. We've always had Rest in Power, Black Voltron, among others. This is our first end of the year without our brother, but he is neither gone nor forgotten. He's neither gone nor forgotten. If anything, it just calls us to redouble our efforts. It reminds us why we're doing this, and it calls us to redouble our efforts. There are some other things as well I want to deal with real quick. Let me go ahead and deal with some other things here real quick. First of all, I got one question. Who the hell did this?
Damn!
I want to know who the hell did this. Man, 2025 is a son of a gun. Who did this? I want to know who made this. Who is responsible for this foolery on my screen? I want to know who is responsible for this foolery on my screen. The both of them getting bruised and get the brakes beaten off them in the same damn week. Who the hell did this? We need to outlaw AI immediately. AI must be outlawed immediately. It has officially gone too far. It is officially out of control. We must outlaw it while we still have a chance to do so, before Skynet goes active and takes out everything else. But yeah, buddy. Oh, man. Yes, sir, indeed. This is what you do. This is kind of like an OnlyFans for failed people or something. It's like, okay, let me go get the brakes beat off myself over here. I didn't need that jaw anyway.
Damn!
So what are they saying here? I didn't need that jaw anyway. Broke my jaw on both sides. I didn't need to eat no more. No way. It's the holidays. Who needs to eat during the holidays? Hand me that straw over there. Hand me that straw over there. Okay. I need y'all to understand something. Folks don't go out there and get beat down like that because they thought they were going to lose. They went out there because they thought they were going to win. It's Andrew Tate. Like I say, he's got bills to pay. But, dude, that was an L all the damn way around. We don't even know who the fella was.
What?
Y'all, if I asked you to name who the fella was who beat him up, you couldn't tell me who it was. Come on now. You did not show up because you thought that Top G was going to be top fleas. You did not think that was going to happen. Top G turned into top bleeding. You did not think that Andrew Tate was going to lose. You heard, let him tell it. He's the best kickboxer in the damn world. And, oh, look at all these records and stuff. Went out there and it's like, I'll be damned. The other fella don't look nowhere near this. So, yeah, man, it's rough. It's rough. It is rough, y'all. Cool Keezy said Top G is bottom B.
What? Damn!
Yes, sir. Folks don't go out there and do that. So it's just 2025 has been a son of a gun, ain't it? 2025 has been a son of a gun. Hey, look, you thought you was going to get out the game clean in 2025. You thought you were going to get out the game clean. They thought they were going to get out the game clean in 2025. Man, look here. Top G is now top meme.
Damn!
I'm like, come on, Top G is top meme. So it's rough on them, man. It is rough on them. You thought you had a hard 2025. Nigga, you didn't get your jaw broken 2 places and beat down in the middle of beat down on pay-per-view and immediately go into Twitter and Instagram. You did not be, you might have thought you had a rough 2025, and maybe in some places you did, but I'm willing to bet you did not become a meme in 2025. This is the first time, what happened to Jake Paul was the first time you ever saw white folk cheering for a black man to beat a white man down.
What? Damn!
Damn!
Y'all can go all over YouTube and Twitter. This Jake Paul is so damn hated. This is the first time that these white folk have been happy to see a black man beat a white man down. Yo, they put up videos, they call it Joshua a hero and everything. You can go see all the videos and everything. Everywhere you go, they put their white supremacy aside. That tells you just how hated he is. He is so damn hated that they were willing to put their white supremacy to the side for a week. They're like, okay, we'll get back to the white supremacy for New Year's week, but right now we dancing. Somebody done did it, damn it. Do you realize how hated you have to be for that to occur? The same folk who sit up here and cheer anybody who wants to harm black folk. And do you realize how hated you have to be for that to be their response? I mean, the damn white code and everything out the window. Do you realize how hated you have to be? They're on Twitter, they're on Instagram, they're on YouTube. I mean, they are loving it. Go to Anthony Joshua's Twitter page, y'all. By the millions, they are sitting over there cheering him on. They had the damn gifts made before the referee could raise Joshua's hand. They already had the gifts made. They were so damn happy. By the way, you didn't hear anybody saying it was a scam either, by the way. You notice that? You didn't hear anybody say boxing was rigged. Notice this time, nobody was saying boxing was rigged. So, yeah, man, they were grateful. They were grateful. They still are. They're still cheering him on. But Anthony ain't never had a fight that made him look this good. They are still cheering him on. They are still cheering him on. You know, it reminds me of when Kamaru Usman fought Colby Covington in the UFC. Broke his damn jaw up too. It's like, okay, try talking all that trash now with that broke damn jaw. Try that. Try talking all that trash with that broke jaw now. So for Jake Paul, yeah, talk trash now. You might have to sign language. You ever saw a bastard sitting out there talking trash? He's sign languaging to you.
Auntie, chill.
He's talking, all his trash talking, he has to text it. You sitting there in his face talking, and he got to sit there and text it. And he does that, and then he shoves his phone in your face so you can see it on Twitter. Yeah, talk that noise now. Talk that noise. Start having AI read it. The only reason you are standing here is because you don't understand the work that it takes to go into the... Man, sit your ass down. So, yeah, man, it's rough out there, dude. It's rough. For all of you, you might have had a rough 2025. Just understand, I think I know somebody that had a rougher year than you. You have not had the roughest. They just leapfrogged you for the roughest year. They just leapfrogged you. I mean, can you imagine going on another person's podcast and ever trying to talk trash again? I'm Top G. I'm Jake Paul. I'm this, I'm that. Okay, you wasn't all that when them dudes were beating the brakes off your ass in the middle of that damn ring. You talking big over here, but when them fellas was sitting over there dancing the Macarena and the Millie Rock all over your ass, you wasn't doing it then. Don't talk to me. Go talk to Anthony Joshua. Talk to him. You don't have to convince me you're the toughest. You just need to convince Anthony Joshua. Convince him. Talking to me is not going to change anything. I'm not the one turning you into a gif and a meme. Go talk to him. You sitting here talking to folks that you think talking to me is going to unwhoop your ass? Like Tony Braxton, unbreak my heart, unbreak his jaw. You think talking trash to me is going to unwhoop your ass? I assure you it will not. I assure you it will not unwhoop your ass. You might wish, you might hope, you might pray. That ain't gonna happen. Representative Thomas Massey. He's basically echoing what I said. He said today, this was yesterday, the DOJ claims the Epstein-Maxwell file exceeds 1.7 million documents. People, 1.7 million documents.
Damn!
And they still expect you to believe this only involves 2 guilty people? Folks, 1.7 million, that's unreal. 1.7 million documents. Folks, and this was not a government operation? Please tell me The non-government operation that has 1 million documents. What was so important about him that there are almost 2 million documents? You're telling me that there's nothing to it, not important, 1.7 million. Folks, come on now. Come on now. And you want me to believe that there's nothing to it? You want me to believe that there's nothing to it? This is just business as usual. People, do you think Diddy got 1.7 million documents? I tell you nay. I tell you nay. 1.7 million documents for the activities of one guy? Just him and his girlfriend? 1.7 million documents? Come on, man. Come on. I mean, if you're going to tell a lie, at least tell a lie that we can believe. 1.7 million documents? Folks, that means they've got whole terabyte hard drives. No, man. No. No, you're a very important person. 1.7 million documents. People do. The 9/11 Commission doesn't have 1.7 million documents. The greatest terrorist attack on American soil doesn't have 1.7 million documents. How the hell does he? What was he doing that gets you 1.7 million documents? What the hell was he really doing? So when folks said to me last week, Jason, you reaching, you think that he might not be dead. I'm like, okay, dude, take a look for your damn self. Take a look for your damn self, people. 1.7 million documents. That sounds like he's important enough to kill over. Damn sure important enough to spirit him away. Damn sure enough to do that. However, like I say here, they're telling all of y'all about what it doesn't mean and what isn't involved and how serious it isn't, and don't worry about that. They're telling y'all all about that. But then there are some other people out there. There are some other folks out there who are not taking things very well. They're not taking things very well here at all. Learning stuff the hard damn way. Your man Vivek Ramaswamy is treading water out there. He's trying to become governor of Ohio. Nick Fuentes said he would rather support Acton. He said, let the Jewish woman have it, not Ramaswamy.
Damn!
Yeah, old Nick Fascist Fuentes, Nick the Nazi, has weighed in, and he literally said, let the Jewish woman have it. I'd rather it be her than Ramaswamy. So, man, the wake-up call is going to be epic. The wake-up call is going to be epic, and it is going to be brutal. Now, Democrats, I don't think, have won in Ohio for governor since 2006, but Ramaswamy's numbers are going down and Acton's numbers are going up. And what is the moral of this story, people? Vivek Ramaswamy has spent the better part of the last decade being the white supremacist best friend. Then he shows up at Turning Point last week, and all of a sudden, he doesn't want people practicing racism anymore. He's sitting up there begging and copping pleas and talking about what you can't do and what you can't represent if you're practicing racism. But meanwhile, he's been practicing it the whole time. Racism was cool and fine when he thought that hating black people was going to be his express card into whiteness. Well, racism was great back then. Racism is awful now. Well, yeah, now that he's the victim of it, as long as he can practice racism, that's great. But once he's a victim of it, all of a sudden, we need to stop all the racism. No, let the dogs have you. Y'all know me. Let the dogs have 'em. Not saving you from a damn thing. No, don't come over here trying to shake no hands. No, we ain't looking to sit up here and build no bridges. We burning these damn things this week. No, you sit over there with them. I mean, they're calling. See, here's the thing. Here's another thing. Vivek didn't think that America could make new ethnic and racial slurs. What? So there's the thing right there. He'd been off with his head so far shoved up white supremacy that him and Dinesh D'Souza, they told themselves that America had made its last racial slur when they made one against us. So they figured wasn't going to be no more of that. And then Nick Fuentes shows them, by the way, oh, no, there's always a new name. And with the internet, it will go viral and be established immediately. So now they're running around calling them Jeets. And it's like, oh, hell. Yeah, they said we got a name for you. For Vivek. For J.D. Vance's wife. Oh, all of them getting that one. Whole new slur, bringing the lexicon. It's not a new slur, but by the way, it's, oh, no, we got something for you. If you're not Anglo, we got something for you. Something for you. And all of a sudden, old Vivek is, and now he's fighting that. It's like, oh, no, you got to hold this. You got to hold this. You got to sit there and get clowned and every damn thing else. And you got to hold that. You've also got to hold being members of a political party that says it's okay to do that. Because see, Vivek, if you were going to be against racial slurs and racism, your time to do that was when you were being racist against us. That was the time to do it. You can't sit up here and endorse white supremacy and then tell everybody, wait a minute now. We don't need no white supremacy around here. He's sitting up here supporting Donald Trump, supporting J.D. Vance. Okay, it's too late now. It's too late. You dance with the devil. Now you're going to burn in hell. That's the way that works. You thought you were going to get some sort of exemption, some sort of amnesty, if you will. Ain't happening. It's not happening. So what Vivek is finding out is that white society, if push comes to shove, they will gather along racial lines, not ideological lines. He's been the biggest white ass kisser that you could imagine. And the white, especially the hard right, is telling him we'll support the white woman even if she's a Democrat. Wait a minute now. Vivek, you all are Republicans. Yes. And Vivek is the Republican candidate. Yes. And you're still going to vote for the white woman. Yes. Well, she's a Democrat. They just told you what the real metric is. They just told you. Right there. Right there. They just told you. And Vivek, I couldn't imagine it happening to a nicer ass kisser. Couldn't imagine it happening to a nicer clown. You deserve every bit of humiliation that you are receiving and will receive. You deserve every bit and every ounce of it. On your way to a historic loss. I'm just telling y'all right now, after Vivek loses this, Vivek is going to be the biggest anti-white racism advocate you could imagine. I want y'all to understand that Vivek, he's still going to be hating on black folk. Don't get me wrong. He's still going to be hating on black people. But for Vivek, I see his trajectory going the same as Michael Steele. Remember the black guy who used to be the RNC chairman? Yeah, nobody has a problem with white supremacy until white supremacy shows you that it still doesn't like you. Then all of a sudden, they all find religion. All of a sudden. Now, we've been catching hell over here, and they couldn't see nothing, and all they had were endless excuses. But as soon as it starts putting lashes on their ass, don't worry if they don't get the payoff they were looking for, because here's the bottom line. If Vivek does not win the race for governor, with him being in the lead in the polls and having the most name recognition and endorsed by President Dunce Trump, if Vivek goes and loses, it will be because the white electorate did not support him, and he can't lie to himself about why it was. So if the white racists don't come out and support him, he's going to blame them. He's going to blame them. He chose Ohio. You figure if J.D. Vance can get it, he can get it. And he chose Ohio. So just understand, if he loses, he's not going to be like Nikki Haley, because Nikki Haley needs a new political job. No, Vivek got some money of his own. But if he loses, he's going to blame the white electorate. If he loses, the white electorate's what he's going to blame. And just look for him to be throwing shade and throwing shots at them after that. There's not going to be a run for something else. This is all the marbles right here. This is what he's been setting up for this whole time. This is what it was about this entire time. This is for all the marbles. This right here. And he's only going to get one shot at this. Like all stupid politicians of the modern era, what he would have done if he were intelligent, he's not. What he would have done, the high IQ people, it's amazing all the stupid, silly mistakes they make. The high IQ people, if he were smart, he would have been courting the black vote the whole time. You can win and succeed without being a white supremacist piece of trash. You can get black support and you can be right wing without being a white supremacist. You can get black support without being a Nazi wannabe, a Klansman wannabe. That's very doable. Now, you're going to have to do more work to convince the black population on account of the fact that you are a member of a hate group masquerading as a political party, the Republicans. And if you choose to join up with the hate group that masquerades as a political party, you're going to have a lot higher hill to climb to convince black people that, why would you choose them if you're not one of them? But you would have to put that work in early, and you have to put that in often. And I don't want to hear anybody complain about that. That's what a politician is supposed to do. A politician is supposed to go and camp out in the areas where you're weak. A politician is supposed to be doing it day in and day out. He's supposed to go camp out in these places. If there's a place that you're not popular, whatever, you're supposed to go camp out over there, especially if pulling from them takes from the competition. This idea that, well, don't worry, most people are not going to vote, and I only have to worry about getting out the base. That's where the politicians are operating today. I don't have to be better than the alternative. I just have to galvanize more of the base than my opponent does. That's what they're betting on now. Even though the mathematics are very clearly showing, dude, that's diminishing returns. It doesn't work the way that used to. And in the 21st century, man, that's you're cutting the margins too damn thin. You're cutting the margins too thin, especially if you're somebody that the base is conflicted about. The Republican base is conflicted about Vivek Ramaswamy because the Republican base is overrun with white supremacists, Nazis, racists, Klansmen, skinheads, and other assorted deplorables.
Damn!
But that is the base of the Republican Party. Well, in order to please them, it's like, oh, you run into a headwind. Okay. And then when you go to Ohio, which is really more of a moderate state in that regard, they don't want to wear the white supremacy on their sleeve. I mean, they wear it, they just don't want to wear it on the sleeves like that. And then you find out, you're not as popular with the folks on the left, and the right don't really want to fool with you because right now they believe that Christian nationalism, which is just a euphemism for white nationalism, Christian nationalism, which is just a euphemism for white nationalism. And Vivek has done walked headlong into white nationalism and is telling them that he wants to be their representative. Why would they bring in a non-Anglo, non-white person to be the representative or the chief proponent of white nationalism? Why do they need you? And the short answer is they don't. The short answer is they don't need you. But he's hoping he can create a new paradigm in that regard. And the problem is they're real resistant to that occurring. Here's the other issue here. The other issue is that Vivek was sitting in Trump's shadow for so damn long. He was sitting in Trump's shadow for this long. He has not done the necessary footwork in black society. He hasn't done the necessary footwork in white society. You see, if you were going to defeat those folks who are against you, you should have been doing that the whole damn year. He wasn't doing that. You should have been doing it the whole year. And now you're trying to sit up here and pull up the rear? That's going to be a hard road to hoe. Well, you have Trump's endorsement. Very soon, Trump is going to be about as popular as salmonella.
What?
So with that being the case, that's not going to be a positive here. And there will be a lot of lessons given. I want to tell y'all something right here. If Vivek, I say if when, but if Vivek loses the governor's race in Ohio, that is going to create, I'm telling you right now, that is going to lead to a paradigm shift. You are going to see the Indian population Vivek is already going against the grain with most of the Indian population as it stands. But if he kisses their asses like you've never seen anybody else do before, and he gets monumentally, historically rejected by them, they are not going to let that go. They are going to carry a grudge about this. Vivek and Dinesh and all the other ass kissers there, their people are not going to have any tolerance for it because they're going to say, yeah, look what happened to Vivek. They're not going to have very much tolerance for that. They're going to be like, look what happened to Vivek. So I'm predicting that the result of that will be it will send a lot of Indian people in a different direction. Yes, I understand their caste system. Yes, I understand their colorist system. I was one who taught most of you about that. But I want you to understand that when you, at a certain point, you do things that are just so blatant. You do things that are just so blatant and so over the top and so over the line. When you sit up here and you start attacking Kash Patel about one of their holidays in India, and when you make it so blatant and over the top, and most importantly of all, none of his white so-called friends came to his defense.
Damn!
The worst part, which is the element and the factor that you cannot escape, their so-called white friends, their so-called white buddies in the party, they did not come to their defense. They left you hanging. Show me the politicians who came to Dinesh D'Souza's defense, Kash Patel's defense, Vivek Ramaswamy's defense. Who is defending him? Show me where they are, because I can tell you where they are. You just show me where they're speaking up for him. Indian people are not going to forget this. They are not going to forget that. So what I'm saying is that it's going to be a whole lot harder for the next Vivek Ramaswamy who wants to deny white supremacy and act like he's got some acceptance. It's going to be a whole lot harder to get that bird to fly after he loses. Because just like Kamala Harris, there will be no ambiguity about why he lost. Folks, you can't have Vivek show up at all these places that were supposed to support him, and then you lose. When they were telling you what their issue was, their issue is, yeah, you're too brown, you're too down. Yeah, we ain't having it. Too brown, too down, too clowned. We're not going for it. You have to sit up here at Turning Point USA, where you should have really been able to walk in there like Barack Obama. You're the heir apparent. You are the ascendant. Everyone should have been thrilled to see you. And that was the opposite of what happened. You're having to defend yourself. The guy who said that there is no systemic racism is having to go to Turning Point and lecture them about racism? Wait a minute now. I thought there was no systemic racism, Vivek. I thought we didn't live in a white supremacist society. If that's the case, then why are you wasting precious time lecturing Turning Point about white supremacy? Why do you have to do that if there ain't no racism? So you have to understand there's a lot of Indian folk out there that they already didn't have patience for this to begin with, and yeah, they'll just use this to shut up the coons within their group. It's gonna be like, yeah, we ain't having it. We're not having it. Because here's the thing, folks, elections mean things in the sense that elections show you that that's not just one person talking. That's the thing about elections. You can write off other things, or a social media post or whatever, somebody putting a like on something. You can write that off as, well, that's just one person, even if they do it as a group. Elections are different. Elections have consequences, and everyone knows what that is. And so with an election, you can't tell yourself anymore, that was just one person. That was a fluke. That was a misunderstanding. You can't say that about an election. When it comes down to an election, you can't say that. You can't say it then. When it comes down to an election, you're going to, if you won, you would say this is the society. The society has spoken. If you lose, you can't suddenly say, oh, well, that's not the society speaking. RLI, they know it the whole time. I need you all to understand, money is no substitute for character. Degrees are no substitute for character. social accomplishment, financial accomplishment, political accomplishment. That is no substitute for character. Just because a person has been successful in Silicon Valley does not mean that they have character. Vivek Ramaswamy does not have a core and does not have character. So it's very easy for him, being a gutless, non-character possessing person, to go out and ignore white supremacy for his own personal benefit. When he says there is no white supremacy, he knows it's not true as an empirical reality. What he means is there's a goal that he is personally pursuing, and that therefore there is no white supremacy because he has a goal. Not because he doesn't see it, but his goal matters more than acknowledging white supremacy. That's what he means. Well, yeah, he knows it's there. You can't deny its existence. Then why is he telling us it's not there? Because there's a goal that he wants. And because he doesn't have character, he is willing to look you in the face and tell you that what you see is not there, because he values his goal more than the truth and more than you and your well-being. And the political world is filled with these sociopaths and psychopaths that will sit up here, look you in the face, and tell you what you clearly see is not there. It doesn't mean what you think it means. The problem is you. Well, when Vivek loses, we're all going to tell him the problem is you.
And deal with it.
When Vivek loses, we will come back and tell him, hey, the problem is you. Just you. You didn't work hard enough. You didn't do enough. And most importantly, ain't no racism, ain't no white supremacy. Ain't no racism, ain't no white supremacy, dude. What is he going to do? People start yelling racism after he loses? I mean, it's like, what are they going to do? Man, you sound like the niggas now. It's okay. Well, yeah, because y'all finally gave him some nigga treatment. Or at least the nigga treatment now derailed his plans. See, that's the issue that we have, folks, whether it's Atlanta or other places. In the political structure, they choose individuals who value their personal position more than the good of the group. So you think that if they're a quote unquote member of your group, that therefore they are also subject to the same thing as you. And the problem is, no, they're here to show you that they're not subject to that. They're in some alternative universe, on some alternative track. But that, no, that's not really their, the problems you have are not really their issues. I mean, let's just keep it real. How many Indians actually run a company in Silicon Valley who are actually on the venture capital end of it? So for the ones who have made it to that level, it's very easy for them to sit up here and quote unquote play the game. Yes, denying white supremacy is playing the game. Yes, but to do that means you also don't have character. It also means that you can address white supremacy while reinforcing to people that you are interested in justice. You can do that too. As a matter of fact, that's really the only way to proceed at things, because here's the problem. The problem is white society acknowledges white supremacy.
What?
I mean, you look like a dumbass lying because white society acknowledges white supremacy. Then you show up and tell them ain't no racism, ain't no white supremacy. They're like, what are you talking about? How do you think I got all this free stuff over here? How do you think I hold it and retain it? Of course there's white supremacy. They get up every day and make it. And you're telling them there isn't? So all you've really told them is, oh, you're another one of those liars. You think you're slick and smart. Unless you're Tim Scott, in which case they think, oh, you're just a dumb nigga. So the Tim Scotts, the Byron Donalds, they don't think those guys are lying. They just think they're dumb. It's like, yeah, oh, you're an idiot. Okay. Well, that explains it. Yeah, you can't say that for Vivek. Nobody thinks he's stupid. Tim Scott is a walking sock puppet. Nobody thinks that about Vivek Ramaswamy. Nobody thinks he's a sock puppet. Nobody thinks he's dumb. So in order for him to convince you, he's going to have to do something different. And what I'm saying, folks, is that if you're addressing white society, one of the worst things you can do is try to convince them that you don't believe racism and white supremacy exists, when you are literally overrun with examples that you can't explain away every day. You would be a lot better off addressing it. You'd be a lot better off acknowledging it, address it, and tell them we're going to have a conversation about this. Because to deny the existence of white supremacy is to insult the intelligence of your audience. Denying white supremacy is just insulting the intelligence of every person in the room, particularly the white people in the room. You're insulting their intelligence. That's like saying there is no black poverty. We doing just fine. Every once in a while you get some dumb nigga who sits up and says that. The reason nobody listens to him is because, dude, you're insulting the intelligence of every person in this room. We don't need somebody to fool us into this. We know it exists. We just want to know exactly what you're going to do about it in that context. But don't insult people's intelligence by telling them it doesn't exist, because just understand, if you're black, they don't believe you. And if they think that they don't believe you, now they might believe that you're an idiot or a liar, but they don't believe you. They don't believe that what you're saying is true. They know it's not true. They know it's not true. They know it. When you have to erect obstacles in people's way every day, you know damn well that you put up obstacles that keep other people out. You know that when they accuse you, hey, you're putting up obstacles to keep me out, you know it's a fact. They're not just saying things. It's not a conspiracy theory. And that's why when they deny these things today, they don't have anybody else around anymore. Did y'all notice that? Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro and everybody else, they don't ever say these things anymore where there's someone who will dispute them. They only say it on their YouTube channels. They only say it on their videos. They do not say it in a place where they will be confronted or contested. They don't do that anymore. Hell, it's gotten so bad over there that old Ben Shapiro is sitting up here copping pleas. He's sitting up there amongst his Daily Wire brethren and having to sit up here and tell them about the history of white supremacy in America. Yeah, all of a sudden, Ben Shapiro was checking Michael Knowles, and you'll all know Michael Knowles. He was the clown who was on Megyn Kelly that I had to check. He was sitting up here talking about how Carmelo Anthony's family we need to talk about how black children are raised in black culture and single mother culture. And okay, but he wasn't raised by a single mom. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, there's that. So Ben was checking that guy. And then Ben had to tell him, he was talking about heritage Americans and people descended from the Mayflower. And Ben Shapiro had to stop him and say, of the American population, how many people are descendants of the Mayflower? Probably less than 10 million. So the overwhelming majority of the society does not trace itself to the Mayflower. So if you're looking to maintain your society and you're going to eliminate probably 90% of your people or more, what kind of society you think you're going to have? One that is ripe for somebody to just walk in and invade you and take over? There won't be enough of you to defend it. That's for damn certain. Certainly not enough of you to work it to keep the economy going. If America lost 80% of its population tomorrow, that's the end of America. You would not be able to maintain your currency, your economics, or anything if you lose 80% of your damn population. Okay, then this pipe dream of the, quote, heritage Americans, that might click very good at the white supremacist Ku Klux Klan rally that you call Daily Wire. It just doesn't work in reality. So Ben Shapiro had to remind him, Ben Shapiro had to check his dude at Daily Wire, Michael Knowles, and tell him, well, by the way, heritage Americans, he said, well, that doesn't include non-Anglos. He said, and really, it doesn't include Italians. It doesn't include Irish. It doesn't include Jewish. He said, it also doesn't include Catholics.
What?
He had to remind Michael Knowles that, by the way, Michael, it also doesn't include Catholics. Because back in the day, they didn't say that you were Catholics. They said that you were papists, which is one of the major issues that they had with the Irish. Remember, one of the big talking points against John Kennedy was that he was Irish, yeah, but also that he was Catholic. So you see, Michael Knowles, that had to hit him in the feels because, like, by the way, Michael, if you're Italian, Michael, or if you're Catholic, Michael, that might play good over there. But if you're talking about who are the real Americans, well, that wouldn't include you either, Michael. To which Michael started splaining. He started splaining and talking about the need to, quote, roll people over into America. So in other words, yeah, he's all in favor of white privilege so long as it includes him and his privilege, which is what this is all about, people. It's all about that. There's nobody who doesn't know. They all know. They all know. They all play dumb. They all play stupid. And they try to kick anybody else out of the room who will correct it on the spot because they're here to promote propaganda, not to promote reality. Just keep that in mind. They know what they're doing. They know what it is, and they know what they're doing. So you're not going to convince, it's not necessary to start arguing about, well, what do they know or not? They know the same thing you do. They see the same thing you see. Same thing. They're not deceived. They're not just, they got bad information. No, they got the same information that you do. Same information as you. They just made the point that we are taking a non-reality break is what we're doing. We're taking a non-reality break here to promote white supremacy is what we're doing. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and pull that up right quick. Let me go ahead and pull this up right quick. It was from over there on Secular Talks YouTube channel there. Let me go ahead and pull this up right quick. And he basically had the good Cliff Notes for it. He had a good Cliff Notes version for it. Let me make sure everything is straight with that. There you go. Yeah, let me go ahead and play this right quick. So, yeah, now that white supremacy is putting on everybody else's ass, everybody is now fighting over who should be the protected class within white supremacy. Now that white supremacy is going tribal, they're all fighting over, wait. You got to protect my white supremacy status. I've been rolled into white supremacy, remember?
Here is Ben Shapiro doing some Daily Wire podcast, and he has on Michael Knowles is on this podcast. And this is interesting because you see Michael Knowles desperately trying to, defend the argument of like, hey, we need a big tent. And so a lot of these like far right wingers who might hate you, Ben, or like they should still kind of be allowed in the tent. And they might have a point on some things. And Ben he's fed up. and he comes in like a wrecking ball and just like destroys Michael Knowles' argument. Watch.
If you have a purely creedal idea of identity, then, I don't know, half of the people we went to college with would not be American, even if their parents came on the Mayflower. We don't really have a purely racial basis for America. It certainly happened in a long time. What do you do about the problem? What do you do about the total collapse of social solidarity?
We are, in fact, a creedal country, and there is no other definition of Americanism that tends to hold historical water. The notion that we are a heritage-based country, meaning that you're more American because your great-great-great-great-great-grandparents got here, as opposed to your great-great-great-great-great-grandparents got here. That is going to be a very, very difficult proposition.
I don't know.
To sustain.
What does John Jay say in Federalist 2? I take it as a mark of providence. He doesn't discount the creed, but he says we all come from the same ancestors. We all had the same experience of the revolution. We all believe in the same religion, roughly.
Michael, that was true in 1785 when the country was founded.
Wow. So Ben Shapiro isn't an idiot. I mean, he just destroyed Michael Knowles' whole argument right there. Dude, you're quoting guys from back in the 1700s. And yeah, that was true at the time that they said it, a couple of 100 years ago. So did you see how quickly and concisely that Ben Shapiro, who was a lawyer, did you see how quickly he was able to disarm that argument? Well, amazing. Well, if Ben knows all this, then why has he always been attacking black people if he knows all of this? Oh, because as I said before, when you're dealing with an individual who has no character, when you're dealing with someone who has no character, they didn't say Creole, they said cradle. They did not say Creole, they said cradle, which means that it is something that's going from infancy, but an infant is not an adult, so it is something that is maturing naturally. In case you didn't make that out, he said cradle, not Creole. But by the way, yeah, Ben Shapiro all of a sudden starts making our arguments. Well, yeah, as soon as the Anglos let him know that we're getting ready to vote you out of white supremacy, all of a sudden Ben he doesn't make any of his own arguments, he makes ours. Well, Ben, if what we're saying has been true all this time, what the hell are you doing? If we've been right all this time.
Religion, roughly.
Michael, that was true in 1785 when the country was founded. And let's just be clear, we're going to go by the full heritage American standard. The first people get kicked out of the Papists. Yeah. Not the Jews.
No, the heritage would be...
Oh, no.
So do you understand what he just said to him there?
He just checked Michael and said, by the way, hey, Michael, you Catholics would be the first ones voted out if we uphold your heritage Americans ideology. The first ones who get voted out is you, Michael, because here's the thing. We have been saying for decades about the less than white and the other than white. That is a conversation that did not occur until the last 24 months. Now, all of a sudden, they're scrambling for power and they're now arguing over who's less than white, who's not white, who's less than white. So all of a sudden, the conversation that was exclusively happening over here with people telling us, remember, the folks who told us that Hispanic was a race, how can you say that Hispanics are not white? And now Ben Shapiro, now Nick Fuentes went on Pierce Morgan and said Hispanics not a race. Well, that's interesting because you see, when me and other people in the new black media were saying this for the last 2 decades, all these folk were arguing with us and saying, y'all crazy and stupid as hell. Do you see how quickly that fell apart? They knew it the whole damn time, people, is what I'm saying. They know about Latinos getting kicked out of whiteness in 1970 census. They know all of this. What they're checking for is to see if you know. They're not denying it because they believe it's false. They're denying it because they want to see if you know. And because if they deny it, they're checking to see if you're going to be able to back it up with evidence, or if you're going to be like, well, just trust me, bro. If they hear you back it up, all of a sudden the room gets quiet. So understand, y'all call it time-wasting trolls and things. White supremacists are liars, and lying is a weapon. They will deny everything unless you can get them dead to rights and prove it. Once you do, the room gets deadly quiet. But they know. They know all of this. Not some of it, all of it. They just want to know if you know. Because that's the only leg you can stand on to substantiate your position. If you know what they're saying is a lie, they know that what they're saying is a lie. They want to know if you can prove it. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. So they're going to come out every time lying. And what they're not lying because they think that because you're wrong. They're lying because they want to force you to prove it's wrong. Otherwise, they'll say, see, it's not wrong. He couldn't prove it's wrong. It's not wrong. But when he needs to invoke every word we said, all of a sudden he says every single thing we've ever talked about, Ben Shapiro and the folks who are trying to claw their way back into whiteness, now they're saying and acknowledging everything we said with no argument whatsoever. There's nobody telling Nick Fuentes that Latino is not a race. I mean, that Latino is a race. Hey, folks, did you notice that, by the way, the folks who used to run around dogging us about that, do you notice that none of them are over there telling Nick Fuentes that Latino is a race? What are you talking about? That white Latinos are not white. Did you know? You notice you're not hearing that? Yeah, you see, when we went and pulled up folks' documentations, or if somebody did something, they had a mugshot or something and showed what the police said their race was, they told us we were wrong. You notice Nick Fuentes says that, and all of a sudden nobody's arguing. They're not arguing about the white thing now. Yeah, only when we said it, yeah, you're too smart, niggas. You're too smart. Just thought you want to remember that.
The first people get kicked out of the papists.
Yeah.
Not the Jews.
No, I don't know. The heritage would be.
Oh, no.
So do you understand what he just said to him there? He's saying to Michael Knowles, like, bro, be careful what you wish for, because you're saying only heritage Americans should be allowed in this country, meaning like you got to go back to the founding of the country. You have to trace your lineage back to them then to be considered an American. And what Ben Shapiro was saying to him, like, hey, idiot, you're a Catholic. You're all into your Catholicism. Catholics were otherized for so long in American history. You were viewed as the untouchable. You were looked at the same way that, like, Muslims are looked at these days, and that Jews are beginning to be looked at again these days. So, like, careful what you wish for. If you're on the team of only heritage Americans can be in this country, your ass gets kicked out too, you fucking idiot. This is a point that I made to Fuentes. It's like, bro, first of all, your last name is Fuentes. So, like, strike one, you're out. You don't make the cut in this white nationalist utopia you want to set up. That's point number one. Your dad's half Mexican or whatever the fuck it is, right? So there's that. But also, he's a Catholic. The Protestants, when we talk about heritage Americans, when we talk about, you know, the lily white Americans who got here.
Okay, let me go ahead and stop Kyle there for a moment there. That point that he makes is very good, which is why I stuck on it so long before in the program I did a few weeks ago when I was talking about how Nick Fuentes keeps talking about Western culture, Western civilization. Okay, but I pointed out to all of you, did you notice that Nick said that Western civilization predates Christianity?
What?
Now, there were some folk on the damn slow bus. And that's why, like I say, in an internet age, I know for some of y'all, and maybe some of these concepts might be hard for you to grasp, and because you've been told things, whatever, and it might confuse you a little bit. Stick with me. I'm not saying trust me, bro. What I'm saying is stick with me and just go ahead and replay it till it makes sense. I showed y'all Nick wasn't just talking about Christianity. He specifically said that the Western civilization predates it. And I told y'all, do you all understand what he's saying? He's saying that Western civilization predates Christianity. So what he's also saying is that Christianity is not the foundation of Western civilization. Western civilization is the foundation of Christianity. Therefore, you can't hold his Catholicism against him. So if you want to know what his strategy was in trying to claim that Western civilization is older than Christianity, because he keeps talking about Christianity all the time, well, it's because Nick is a Catholic and that puts him on the out. So what he's telling you is, oh, no. Our ties are deeper than this religion. What ties us together as white people, there's no reason for us to fight over the religion, because what ties us is deeper and older than any religion. It goes back to the original religion, white supremacy. Now, I explained this a few weeks ago. For those of you who are here, give me the radio emoji in the chat room if y'all remember me explaining that in detail, and had some folks in the chat room who didn't get it and didn't understand why I was stopping to explain all of that. But if you all got it then, give me the radio emoji in the chat room. Got to remind you all, there were some folks who they were trying to argue with me and dispute me because they didn't quite understand. And Jason, why are you taking so long to explain this? People, I don't sit here and stop and explain these things in withering detail because I'm bored. I do it because I know what these people's counter arguments are. I also know what the lies are that they're telling to substantiate their arguments. And I'm trying to explain it to you and dissect it for you so that when you hear it in the future or you need to explain it to somebody else, you already understand. Nick Fuentes spoke in such a convoluted manner because he wasn't going to come out and say, hey, you all need to stop holding my Catholicism against me. Focus on the fact that I'm white. Hey, Pierce Morgan, Latino is not a race, it's an ethnicity. So I win the genetic argument. And that racial, that social religious argument, well, I win that one too, because Catholicism came from Western civilization, not the other way around. So I win that argument too. So don't kick me out of whiteness. Don't kick me out of whiteness. That was Nick Fuentes trying to make his case and argument why he shouldn't be kicked out of whiteness. Now, you let these things play out, and that is what they are confirming.
On the fucking Mayflower and shit. You're talking about Protestants. They're all
And Kyle is prone to colorful language, so fair warning.
Protestants. None of them are Catholics. Catholicism was looked at as this weird fucking cult, okay? You don't even know the history. You don't even know the history, so you're making an argument. You don't understand the first thing about it.
He understands that Catholicism supported slavery. Catholicism supported white supremacy expressly. He understands that. So when you're talking to these folk, most of them they're not quite to the point where they're ready to just admit, like Nick Fuentes, they're not willing to admit that Catholicism is a religion of white supremacy. The Pope has historically, and some folks say still does, supports white supremacy. The slave trade was blessed and endorsed by the Pope and the Catholic Church. Do not reduce it to just the Pope. Do not reduce it to just him. Like the folks who sit up here, the fella last week talking about, oh, the problem is really Jewish folk. No, it's white supremacy. Get them all. If you leave one on the table over there because you own some silly stuff, this is how you end up having to fight the same damn fights over and over again. Get them all. Whether they're in the synagogue, whether they are in the Catholic Church, whether they're in the Baptist church, get them all. Put them all in this bag. Nobody gets a special status. None of you are exempt. We overlook nothing. All of you in this bag. Now that's when you're doing it right. So the things I've been telling you all now for decades, it's coming to fruition. They're all scrambling and admitting that, yeah, they were, and I think that's what Michael Knowles is about to say, is that they got rolled into whiteness. But by the way, Ben just shut him down and shut him up about the Catholic things. Like, dude, you're not, the heritage you're referring to didn't include you. That was a later thing. So what are you really arguing for? Okay, but it makes a clown out of Ben Shapiro because he's still arguing for white supremacy his damn self. He's trying to argue for it and against it at the same time. Shout out, Brother Neely Fuller.
The heritage would not go in your favor, my
No, it certainly would.
Oh, he's Sicilian, exactly. So you're also considered like a person of color, you idiot.
Cigar company called Mayflower.
Yeah, did y'all hear Ben tell him so the heritage thing wouldn't go in your favor, Michael? And that was Ben Shapiro saying that to Ben Shapiro over here, Michael Knowles over here. That was Ben. That's why they're all laughing. The heritage thing wouldn't go in your favor there, Michael. You're Italian and you're a Catholic. And the heritage thing wouldn't actually go in your favor, man.
He's an argument. You don't understand the first thing about it.
The heritage would not go in your favor, my
No, it certainly would.
Oh, he's Sicilian, exactly. So you're also considered like a person of color, you idiot.
Cigar company called Mayflower.
I'm about to say, by the way, did y'all see that's Ben checking him? Michael didn't say that he was Italian. That's Ben saying, you papist and you, my Sicilian friend. That's okay. Now, if Michael had said, Ben, my Jewish friend, I wonder how that would have gone over. Considering the fact I think everybody on this panel is Jewish. I know she is. Is this Michael Clavin? I don't know if he's Jewish or not, but I'm like, yes, so far I can confirm two of the folk up here. I can confirm two of them up here. This dude right here, I'm not sure if he is. I'm not sure if he is or not. I know Candace is throwing shade at him, so he might be. But and if he is, by the way, Michael, 75% of this panel, okay. Notice 75% of this panel is laughing. I'm just saying, if you had said my Jewish friend, okay, yeah, Clavin is Jewish too, okay. I want to say, because I knew Candace been throwing shade at him. So, Michael, 3/4 of this panel is Jewish, and they're laughing. 3/4 of it is Jewish, and they're all laughing. And you sitting up here making an argument, did you notice, even if they're not amen and Ben, they're all laughing. You're the only non-Jewish person trying to make the argument for heritage folk. I'm like, okay, do you see they're non-verbally in agreement?
Oh, he's Sicilian, exactly. So you're also considered like a person of color, you idiot.
Cigar company called Mayflower Cigars. To your point, Ben, when we talk about white people in the 20th century, we're largely not talking about the Mayflower or Massachusetts Bay Colony. We're talking about people who came in later from other parts of Europe. We used to...
Yeah, and why are those people considered white? Because the definition of whiteness has changed as it's changed throughout history. Right?
Folks, from Malcolm X, from Marcus Garvey, Booker T. Washington, we can keep going backwards. See, we've been talking about this forever. We have been speaking about this forever. And remember, in America, it's about being silent. You don't talk about these things. We've been talking about this forever. These other folk got quiet because it was convenient to get quiet. Now, all of a sudden, everybody's going back to the crates. And they're acknowledging the less than white people and the other than white people, and that most of these white supremacists, especially on social media, like, dude, you just became white. You haven't been white for 100 years yet. Some of them have not been white for a full century yet. There was no legal thing that made them white, but a bunch of them have not been white for a century yet online repping white supremacy based on a phenotype or a skin color. And the country's been around for over 240 years and you ain't been white. You've been white for less than 100 years. You just became white in your mama's lifetime. You just became white in your grandmama's lifetime. Slavery is older than your induction into whiteness. And that's how desperate you are to keep that. So, yeah, you just became white within the last few decades. And running around yelling white supremacist epithets, and you just became white. Oh, you've forgotten their slurs for you. Michael without papers.
What? Damn!
Oh, you're Italian. Oh, they got a few choice words for you. Without papers. Yeah, there's the other one that rhymes with Winnie. I'll let y'all go ahead and do that one, but the other one, because that goes on the front of without papers. That goes on the front of that, and it's like, okay, how quickly they forget. Yeah, as soon as you all had whiteness, you started acting just like the white supremacists. Soon as you got it. That's a failure of character. If Michael would like to talk about character among races, hey, Michael, we can have that conversation. I don't think you want to, because I would body slam you much harder than Ben's doing right now. Ben's making a monkey of you. I wouldn't need as much time and as many syllables as Ben does, so you got off real lucky being over there. Michael's not done splaining yet, y'all.
Right? There was a time when Irish people were not considered white. There was a time when Italians were not considered white. And we shifted the definition with time to broaden whiteness to include them in it, right? So when will we get to the point where, quote unquote, whiteness is expanded to include everybody who's in this country, right? And you might say that's ridiculous. Well, there was a time when it was viewed as ridiculous that Irish people would be considered white and Italian people would be considered white, right? That's all people want is equal treatment under the law. That's all.
I mean, here's my thing about that. And I understand what Kyle's trying to say. How long is it before you extend whiteness to everyone? It's like, because whiteness is synonymous with Americanness. Okay, especially for those of us who predate America. I can't rock with you until my Americanness is honored. When my Americanness is honored at the bank, at the ballot box, at the school, at the media, when my Americanness is honored there, and honored means when I swipe my card, it's got to work on all the doors that yours work on. All the doors that new white folk like Elon Musk, all the doors that Bill Gates can swipe, all the doors Trump can swipe. I need my card to swipe and work on all those doors. When my American card swipes and opens all those doors, then I will say, oh, I'm American. Wave the flag. America first. Yeah, the day that my American card swipes and opens all those doors. Oh, yeah, and one more thing, you white supremacist pig-sucking bastards. Not only must my card open the door, it must open the door with no begrudging, no resentment, no bull crap from you.
And deal with it.
One more thing. Not only must it open the door when I swipe my American card, it must open the door with no resentment, no backbiting, no murmuring, no back talking. You know, when that door opens, not only do I want that door to open, not only must it open for me, I must not only get the same entrance you get, I must also get the same reception that you receive. Now, when I get the same access, and then when I get the same reception that you receive, you know what you get when you come among the civilized? You know, when you come amongst us? You know, that one that you've always gotten? See, white folk never got lynched on the black side of town. White people were never denied service at a black business. They love coming to the Cotton Club. They love coming to our juke joints. They love coming to our restaurants. Yeah, because no one was treating them like trash over there. White people never got mistreated amongst us simply as an artifact of showing up. There was no systemic oppression, systemic discrimination. systemic mistreatment, that's never, ever, ever occurred. You see, when he walked through that door, his humanity was honored on the same terms, actually on greater terms than ours, because you see, we weren't running around mistreating other folk like that. Y'all are mistreating us, and yet you still have humanity here. Well, that means you've got preferential treatment. Yeah, I'll swing that flag just as soon as I swipe my card and I get all of that. When all of that happens to me, when I get treated the same way you do, yeah, then we can talk about my Americanness. Until then, you're not holding up your end of the bargain. So do not expect to get freebies from me.
All they want. And these guys are trying to draw lines around like, no, these people are acceptable, but these one aren't. Now, in my lifetime, we went from Hispanic people were not considered white. Now, there's forms where it says like, are you non-white Hispanic or white Hispanic?
For those who are not deep off in it there, Kyle, like I say, it can be a lot to keep track of. No, they were always white, and then they weren't. And now they're slowly morphing out again because the society is trying to roll them in, which, as I told you all a decade ago, I told you all they're going to roll them into whiteness because they don't have enough European numbers. It's not a bunch of Europeans trying to get into America. It doesn't matter if you roll out the damn red carpet for the Europeans. The Europeans ain't trying to come to America. The third world is trying to come to America. The Europeans ain't. So even if you made an immigration policy that gave preferential treatment to Europeans, which it already does, by the way, well, there's not enough of them who want to come to reinforce your numbers and bolster your numbers. So if you're not replenishing your numbers and the Europeans will not come over here to reinforce your numbers, then where are all the necessary white reinforcements going to come from? The only white folk coming here are from the South. You're like, well, they don't look white enough. Those are the only ones you got. So just understand they don't like what Joe Biden did, but they will be forced to roll the Latinos into whiteness simply by sheer weight of numbers. They'll be forced to roll them in. Yeah, they're angry about it now, but when the numbers game gets to beating on them again, which is already doing, they'll bite their tongues and bite their lips and damn it, like they did 100 years ago. I told y'all 100 years ago they rolled in the Italians and the Irish. A century later, now they're gonna have to roll back in the Latinos again. But don't worry, they can always roll them back out.
Nigga, what?
No, they can always roll them back out. They're not afraid to roll them in. Just like they rolled you in, they can roll your ass out. Just like that.
So there's like a white version of Hispanic and a non-white version of Hispanic. That's another. The definition has changed just in my lifetime of what counts as white. Right? So when you say we're going to create a white nationalist system, which kind of white nationalist? White nationalist by the standards of 1900? White nationalist by the standards of fucking 1800? White nationalist by the standards of 1950? White nationalist by the standards of the 2000s? White nationalist by what fucking standard? It's also utter.
Well, we've always said, folks, define white. The question that nobody wants to answer, see, they're quick to tell you that you're black. Everywhere you look, news stories talk about black, black, black. I told you all 2 decades ago. You notice you never hear a news story about white? You don't get to use the word white. They say American, but they don't use the word white. They don't do the news stories about white, what's happening with the white dating, white population. We don't talk about the whites. No. You're going against the code. We don't talk about the whites. We'll talk, and everybody else, you get identified. Whiteness is supposed to be invisible. It's supposed to be just invisible and ever present, but invisible. Why? You can't hit what you don't see. Whiteness is supposed to be invisible. That's how it gets to move around and do what it does, because it's invisible. Now that it's become more high profile, what's happening is it's becoming vulnerable to slings and arrows like everything else now that everyone can see it. But up until now, its superpower was that it was invisible. The rest of you are visible. Whiteness is not. That was its superpower. So it's losing its superpower because we can see you. And now they're forced to define, okay, exactly who is white, because whoever is white is going to be privileged. What do you know, folks? As soon as they began the conversation about who was really white, they started arguing. They're going back to lines of demarcation that are a century old, because you're not, when you say white, you mean the privileged. And they want to make sure that, wait a minute now, there's a pecking order here. And all of you less than whites who just got recently got graduated to whiteness, we need to make sure we can make that distinction now.
Really arbitrary and made up.
But people kind of get grafted in and they move in and out. And it seems to me that's total.
Did you hear that? Did you hear what Michael just said? And people get rafted in. They move in and out. They move in and out of whiteness. With the 3 Jews on the panel who just let you know that, by the way, dude, you're not white either. Now, do you hear how quickly I want, like I said, Kyle cut the clip there and it's fine. But, yeah, y'all heard what Michael just said. Well, they get rafted in and out. They move in and out of whiteness. He's not making this argument based on math. He's making it based on his own self-interest. Hey, don't vote me off the island. Hey, you all are challenging the legitimacy of my whiteness. It's all I got. Don't vote me off the island. Well, it's okay if you let us in and let us out. And now he's all he's articulating is the hazing process. That the true Anglos get to haze him and whatnot, so long as he gets to keep his whiteness that is defined as being above the niggers. Long as he keeps his privileged status among the niggers, he will acknowledge his place in the pecking order and in the hierarchy, so long as he gets to keep his individual benefits.
Arbitrary and made up.
But people kind of get grafted in and they move in and out. And it seems to me that's totally gone. And to say that there is no people, that have been here for a long time, going back to the Revolution or the Civil War or the Mayflower or what have you, to me that seems to undercut a really important part of what a nation is.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that it's...
Okay, but wait a minute. The Revolution, do you know what the non-white population was by the time we get to the American Revolution? The Civil War, do you know what the non-white population was by the time we get to 1860? Black people outnumbered white folk in the southern states, and a couple of northern ones if you want to be honest about it. So when he says that, do y'all see that goalpost is put on Nikes and running all over this damn field? He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. He's trying to make a white supremacist argument, and everything he's saying is, dude, you're delegitimizing yourself, damn it. Everything he's saying is fine if you don't know the demographics and if you don't know history, which is why Ben wants to jump right in. Because like, dude, that's too easy to knock down what you just said. These people don't have concrete arguments, folk. They have cliches and slogans that they've recycled over the decades. They don't actually have a concrete argument. All you have to do is have a cursory knowledge of this stuff and some critical thinking skills. And wait a minute, what was going on in 1860 again? Because he was going to keep going in the 1920s. Yeah, Michael, you didn't get rolled into whiteness until we get to the 1930s, 1940s, not even the 1920s. Because they were still, by the way, to be totally honest, y'all didn't actually get real whiteness till we get to the 1970s.
What? Damn! What?
Oh, let me take a moment here to go ahead and dissect that for y'all right quick. And for my folks over there on Zoom, hang tight. I'm going to get y'all here in just a minute. They didn't get whiteness until the 1970s, people. The Italians did not get rolled into whiteness truly until The Godfather. Let's keep it a $103. White people did not truly get rolled into whiteness until The Godfather movie. That was an American milestone. Because you had Italians who were unhappy. They talk about how Joe Colombo, boss of the Colombo mafia family, told Francis Ford Coppola, you can't use the word mafia in this movie. So they didn't get rolled into whiteness really until we get to the 70s. And they were still complaining about their Italianness being held against them when The Sopranos came on TV. I remember specifically the CBS Evening News. And they were upset about The Sopranos being on HBO because they were talking about how that was a negative portrayal of Italians. People, this is years after Goodfellas, years after Casino, years after The Godfather 1, 2, and 3. By the time we get to HBO and The Sopranos, and they were still talking about how The Sopranos was casting a negative view on Italians. This is by the time we get to The Sopranos, people. Not 1920, not Al Capone. The modern era. With nobody wanting to remind you about that.
Undercut a really important part of what a nation is.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that it's not part of a nation, but to pretend that the chief definition by which we determine Americanism is ancestry is, of course, silly. And not only is it silly, it's historically inaccurate. There are real conflicts that have existed since the foundation of the country over exactly this sort of stuff. And now we say white, but for a while, there was some pretty significant anger about Swedish imports and German imports and Italian imports and Irish imports. And if you go back to the know-nothings of the 1840s, they were not protesting against Muslim immigration or Jewish immigration. They were protesting in large part Catholic immigration coming from places like Ireland and Italy. It seems to me that we can absolutely hold by a creedal country and keep people out we don't want here on the basis of that creed. If you go to a sort of more heritage American ancestry-based system for determining Americanism, first of all, you will never win an election. There aren't enough people who are like that. The number of descendants of the Mayflower is a very, very small percentage of the population of the United States.
Yes, 10 million, probably.
That is smaller than the Muslim population of the United States. You're talking about 3% of the population is a Mayflower descendant. So if you want to build an entire political movement on the descendants of the Mayflower, I congratulate you on never winning an election for the rest of the time.
So that...
Well, isn't it amazing how Ben Shapiro, the white supremacist Jewish attorney, all of a sudden is talking like us? Just so long as that part he put in there about you can keep your cradle, civilization standard and keep out folk you don't want. Okay, well, Ben's talking about everybody except him. Of course. Yeah, he means everybody except him. So, yeah, they're over there fighting about who's going to get accepted and on what terms and who's going to get voted out of whiteness and who's going to get to stay and who's going to get voted off the island. And Ben doesn't really want this to become an argument either. Hey, Ben Shapiro, I already covered this, dude. You don't want this to become an argument because Jewish women are already out of pocket right now, and they're already most likely to date outside the ethnicity and marry outside the ethnicity. So, you really want to back off all of this, man. Or just keep screwing up like you are right now. It's not an issue for you too. Just keep screwing up just like you are. It'll work for you. All right, let me go ahead and jump over here on Zoom right quick. Okay, I got Michael on Zoom. Michael, I don't know why it is looking like a ghosty fever dream where you at, dude. Your screen is all foggy. Get that resolved for me here, man. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if you got low light or something there. Maybe you need to turn a light on or something. It's looking like Snoop Dogg's house over there.
What?
Okay, while you're trying to do that, what's on your mind, Michael?
I thought I'd just kind of chime in. You mentioned a lot about the Catholics, the Christians. Also, I'm from Arkansas by way of Texas. Just want to throw that in there. But let me mute this because hearing myself twice is kind of messing me up. All right, so I just wanted to mention that you said a lot about like the Catholics, but it seems to me like all Christians, it doesn't matter where, they're all anti-Black racists. It could be from the Richard Spencer and the alt-right for like the last decade. They have a Christian militia down south where I'm from. They got the Aryan Brotherhood. They are like organized around the church. Ku Klux Klan's a Christian denomination. Do you even think we should be Christian? Because it seems like all it does is weaken us overall. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, here's the issue, and our immortal ancestor, Dr. John Henry Clark, saw that the same way. Your religion is supposed to empower you. And what I'm telling you is that white supremacy, it doesn't matter what the religion is, they always turn to empower themselves. So whether you're talking about Christianity, Hinduism, Taoism, Buddhism, Islam, the folks who grab it, it empowers them. So what I'm saying is that if you're a person who is looking for reasons and rationales to be weak, You will read the Bible and you will cherry pick the things that conform and accommodate whatever your belief already is. If you're a person who believes in empowerment, you're going to read the Bible and you are going to come out empowered. Case in point, Nat Turner. Nat Turner read the Bible and led a revolution. So what does that tell you? If you're a person who's looking to be weak, you'll read the Bible and you will literally disregard 95% of it, and you'll only keep the parts that tell you to be docile and stay a slave. And even if it doesn't tell you to stay a slave, you'll read it and say, well, what he means is, we need to be slaves. And that's literally what you'll do. So what you really find, brother, is that the religion follows your code of ethics, not the other way around. Or at least that's what you get from it. So I have no problem with Christianity. I think Christianity works. It certainly worked for the white supremacists. But the bottom line is, no, I mean, the religion's not the issue. It's the character or lack thereof of the people.
Okay. And one more question. I don't think I've ever heard you talk about it. Have you ever heard of, let's say, the bronze community and what they're talking about?
Bronze community. What do you mean?
Let's see. It's like called the Republic of Mentellect. I think it's out of maybe New York or Chicago. It's like a new movement. It's all about
okay,
empowerment.
brother. There's always a new this, that, and the other there. At the end of the day, are they standing around debating and talking about stuff and giving names and talking about how the solution is semantics and we need to rename ourselves? Or are they doing something? That's all. Brother, I don't have a problem with, I've said this decades ago. Let me go ahead and say this again. People, your religion is between you and God. What you do out here is between you and me. So what you do at church, that's between you and God. Your religious belief is between you and God. What happens on this street's between you and me. That's what it is. Is that right there? So if what they believe in their church or their religious system is interfering with what we're doing out here on the street, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's the problem right there. So whatever they're selling, okay, fine, I'm buying. Now, what are they talking about doing? Because I don't need to be an adherent to their religion to build something. You see what I mean?
100%.
And if somebody tells me that I need to be, well, then they got some other agenda.
Well, that was the only questions I had for you. I appreciate your input.
Thank you for giving us a call here. He's got the kinfolk over there. He's got the kinfolk over there. But yeah, folks, the religion thing has never been an issue or problem. It's never been an issue or a problem. I don't argue with people over there. You can have whatever religion you want to. We're not going to have any argument over that. Pray however in the world you want to. I'm not here to interfere with any of that. I'm about, okay, now, once you're done praying, what are we going to do? Once you're done praying, what are you going to do? Because that's the thing that matters most. What they do here is they get you off and those kind of things right there. And like I say, it's just a lot of folks sit up here and tell themselves that that's a substitute for action. And it's not. I don't care if you're in the Nation of Islam, Southern Baptist Convention, that's irrelevant. But once you start telling yourself that your religious belief is a substitute for doing things, it's like, okay, now we got a problem. Anyway, I think that's enough right there. I think that's all that you need to see there from that. So just let you all know that, by the way, that recently happened. And as a result, just understand that these folks are trying to circle the wagons. They're fighting for their positions. Yeah, because it's a whole lot harder to prove that you're white enough now. And here's the crazy part, people. Donald Trump was supposed to unite them all.
Damn!
This, when he talked about a golden age, he was talking about a white age. This was supposed to be the new white age. Oh, they were all supposed to be united. And now, with absolutely no interference from us whatsoever, they are more at each other's throats than they have been in a century. You rolling the bowling ball, idiot Martin, and you wanted to stop Trump from getting in the White House? We made more progress in the streets when George Floyd got killed than we did in the previous decade. And we've made more progress in the last year dismantling white supremacy by getting the hell out of their way than them niggas did in the last 5 decades. Let me go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom right quick. We got Nicole here on Zoom. At least I'm looking for Nicole here on Zoom. There you go. All right, Nicole, what's on your mind?
Hello, Brother Jason. I just wanted to point out a brilliant broadcast tonight, as per usual. And I wanted to highlight right now, we were talking about the VEC and just a lot of these immigrants who are out here bootlicking and, wanting to be white supremacists, that while white people are having the fight of who's the whitest, it's like the peak of that. Next year is the 250th anniversary of America. I guess, I don't know if it's like perfect timing. And like you said, they weren't doing this 24 months ago. It seems like they just got on this train because of, kind of what's been happening amongst foundational Black Americans. I just wanted to just kind of point that out, look in that direction, as you have all of these immigrants who are, what's going on in Minnesota, and then you got Ohio, and I'm hearing that they're having the same issue with, scamming and things like that. That you have these immigrants who love to play up, white supremacy, the wannabes, as you have taught us. They're more dangerous because they'll do anything. That the VEC is understanding tonight that, like you said earlier, they're treating him like he likes to treat us. And what I'm seeing online too is that people are like, oh, they're being racist towards Vivek. And I was like, well, according to Vivek, there's no, racism doesn't exist.
No, look, I mean, it's just been like the coon population everywhere is the same. It doesn't matter where on this planet you go. They think they're quote unquote playing the game. And when you meet somebody who's giving you the playing the game talk, or it's very clear from their behavior, wait a minute, you can't be that stupid. You see them doing stuff that's off code as hell. It's like, wait a minute, you can't be that dumb. You can't be. Understand, he's not stupid. He thinks he's slick. He's not dumb. He thinks he's slick. Your job is to realize, dude, you're never going to be that slick, ever. This is not a system that you get to manipulate. This is a code, and everybody sees you. No, I'm really slick. No, you're not. All of us see you, including the white supremacists. And then you just sit back. You just sit back here, because I have to remind you all, take a look at what was happening in America when the white population numbers were below 50%. Okay. The quietest time in America was when the white population numbers got to 91%. And what's been happening over the last 4 decades? Oh boy, I told you all this when I first started the Black Channel. As that number goes down, the brutality and everything else is going to go up. The brutality, the nativism, the unvarnished state of white supremacy. Yeah, when they feel that their numbers are jeopardized, oh boy. Now, speaking in code is something you can do when you're 90% of the population. When their numbers start falling, you got to say it straight, because we got to make sure everybody gets it, because you might not get a second chance to talk to them. So you have to make sure they get it the first time. Oh, you're going to have to call niggas niggas and white supremacy then is what you're going to have to do. And that's where you're at now. You have a few folks like Vivek who didn't get the memo and don't want to really level where this is at. Because here's the thing. folk like Vivek Ramaswamy, he doesn't have what it takes to, he doesn't have the swag and he doesn't have the gravitas to do what it takes to pull an audience on his own. So he's got to kiss ass. Zorhan Mamdani at least understood New York. He at least understands his environment. By the way, a lot of folks who are supporting him are going to be very much disappointed when they realize he's just another politician. What? By the way, let me go ahead and throw that in for y'all right quick. By the way, all the Mamdani stands and whatnot out there, folks, he's just another politician. So I don't know what y'all don't get about that, but I figure by this time in a couple of months, people are going to be ready to, when they see what he really does, they're going to be ready to say, I'll be damned, he's just another politician. All that socialist stuff, we thought he was different. Nope, no, just another politician. But in any case, he had a different spin on it. But at least he understood his audience. Vivek doesn't even have that. He doesn't even understand the damn audience. He doesn't understand that the folk he's trying to get booed up with are hostile as hell to him. At least Zorhan was trying to boo up to folk who were sympathetic and agreeable to him. Vivek is so damn clueless, he went to the folks who hate his ass the most and said, let me lead y'all. And he already got his taste of how willing they're going to do that. I mean, Ann Coulter telling him that she wouldn't vote for him because he was Indian, that wasn't the death knell. That wasn't it, baby. That was not it. Let me remind you what the death knell was. The death knell was earlier this year. Not sometime last year, the year before. The death knell was earlier this year. Jason, what did he do wrong? Remember, he was the one coming out talking about y'all are racist if you don't support the H-1B visas.
Yeah.
Remember? So all you did was tell the right and the white supremacists what you really gonna, if you actually had power, because you're just a jackass on Twitter right now saying that. If he gets elected to office, now you're a jackass saying that who has power. You can actually do something. You might really believe that, but you can't do anything with it except tap away on Twitter. You put him in the governor's office, now he can do something with it. And that's the calculus they made. And they're right. Oh yeah, one more thing. And they are correct. They are right. If he gets in there, yeah, he's going to kick out the Haitians and bring in as many Indians as he can. Or at the very least, he is not going to do a damn thing to slow it down. Not at all. So, yeah, what he did was confirm their greatest fears. He confirmed for them that they are right to practice white supremacy. That's what he did. He confirmed for them that, yeah, we were right the whole time. And now they can mostly agree on that, which is what I predict is going to happen. So, he's the only one who didn't get it. Baby, he really didn't get it. You've met women like this in your life. You met women who thought that she was so slick that she was going to throw this triple X-rated thing on this man and he was going to leave his wife, leave his kids, leave his job. You've seen it your whole life. You know, you probably know a bunch of them. It's like you sitting there talking about, girl, he is not going to leave that woman. He's not going to do it. But he told me he is not going to. But I cook for him, clean for him. He loved me. Girl, he's a man. No, he's a man with me. He's a man. Vivek, they're white supremacists. No, they're not. I cook for him, clean for him. Dude, they're white supremacists. I'm different. Okay, you sound like that broad over there. The rest of them chicks he slept with, they ain't like me. I'm different. Yeah, right. Y'all can't see her over here laughing because she's heard, every woman is over the age of 40 has heard that their whole damn lives about 1,000,000 times. Yeah, you special. Okay. Yeah, all right. About the 10th or 12th time you've heard that, you're over it. Will they learn? No, they never learn. It's just, no, it ain't going to happen. But that's where Vivek is. I'm special. Yep. I'm not like the rest of you. I'm special. You're never special. Right. It's just your turn. I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I would love for, at least I want to work, I'm working towards something that we can commemorate that, coming up for next July 4th, 2026. So, oh, and one other thing. I don't know. I think I spoke to you initially, probably like maybe 3 years ago or something like that. And I was doing real estate. What I want to say is I've like almost doubled what I had in my account since then. I know you told me I needed to get a lawyer. I needed to get an accountant. and have these things just sitting on side. I'm taking it a step further, and I am applying to law school. This is something I should have done, but I'm looking at it more from the perspective of I know that I can influence my nieces and nephews and other people to do that, to go to law school. So I want to go through it first, understand the process, get it down to a science, and then just shuffle them through and, build that Black legal class that we speak of. And so that's something that I'm working towards. And I can say that without a doubt, you were very instrumental in me making that decision. And I want to thank you and appreciate everything that y'all do.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate that, ma'am. Stay in touch with me. Stay in touch with me. I want to see how that goes. I got one fellow who's already gotten into law school, or at least he's passed to get into it. So the more we have of that, that is very, very critical and crucial that we have that. Very, very much so. So stay in touch with me.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Yeah, in the chat room there, folks. I mean, you don't have to. Yeah, I mean, look, everybody and their mama has heard about this. Jason, you ain't said nothing. What's there to say, man? Jason, did you know? Of course I knew. What's there to say? Nicki Minaj been cooning. I'm the guy who did the original video when Nicki Minaj was talking trash about clowning Malcolm X. Come on, man. I already lit this up, man. This is not new. This is not new, man. So it's Nicki is doing what she does. Only now she's doing the Fox News thing. I guess that's kind of throwing a bunch of you. I guess a bunch of you are being thrown because you don't understand that. Well, this is what all the washed up, aged out, over 40 hoes do.
What?
Come on, y'all. This is Fox News' program. When they get aged out and they're no longer relevant in their industries and they know they're getting ready to get cycled out for the young and the new. I mean, come on, man, especially when that faux zero hit. Now, you might be able to duck and dodge a lot of things, but you can't dodge the big 4-0. You can't dodge that. So you're going to be looking crazy running around trying to compete with the 21-year-olds. And Nicki is 43 now.
Nigga, what?
Nigga, what?
People, she's 43. In case time passed you all by, don't believe me, go Google it. Don't believe me, go Google it. Okay, what do you expect when she's staring down the barrel of 45? Yes, everybody's in here talking about Stacey Dash, Stacey Dash, Stacey Dash. Come on, folks. Come on, man. It's everything I told you it was. Jaden, you ain't talked about that. What's there to say? When they get aged out, what do? They know that they're the cool kids. Okay, the kids who used to be the cool kids, but they've aged out of coolness. Where do they go? They go to Fox News, where all the oddballs are. Yeah, the not cool kids are over there at Fox News, Turning Point, CPAC. They love Nicki Minaj. Okay, this is the only thing y'all need to know.
I know that you are getting a lot of backlash from your own industry. What is your reaction to that?
I didn't notice.
Amen.
Okay, do y'all see all these white folk? This right here. They had you believing that they hated Nicki Minaj. They hate rap music. They've been waiting for a Nicki Minaj and the cool kids to show up. They were jealous when they saw Beyonce at Kamala Harris's events. They were jealous when they saw Samuel L. Jackson and all the cool kids at Kamala Harris's event. Okay, and Nicki knows you're a nobody at a Democrat event. You're a damn star among these dorks and geeks. You're a star. To the Folks saying that she deleted her IG. You might want to check the cliff notes on that. Just pro tip. But in any case, I mean, she knows what she's doing. When Kirstie Alley did it, Stacey Dash did it. Every time somebody in Hollywood, as soon as their career starts drying up, where do they go? They go over there where they know they have an outsized. I mean, tell me another place that would just put Nikki on the damn stage to discuss politics. Why? Why would you do it? Furthermore, by the way, one more question, y'all. Did Miss Erica Christ is King Kirk ask Nikki about, I don't know, her husband's history? Damn! Asking for a friend, by the way, I'm curious for those of you. Well, Jason, did you see this? Did you see this? Okay, nigga, did you see Erica Kirk ask her about that? Since you think I don't know and you need to get me up to speed. Okay, you're going to get me up to speed. Okay, did Erica ask her about that? Well, you say, oh, her brother's history. No, we don't want to go into that family tree. But by the way, y'all, did Erica ask about that? Oh, she didn't? Oh, so I am on top of things. Okay. All right. Yeah, for some of the folks who were wondering whether or not it was me slipping. No, it ain't me. Somebody slipping. It ain't me. Folks, this is exactly what I told you it was going to be. I mean, it's what more do you want me to say to it? This picture on your screen right here, this is what it was about. This is what she went there for. She wanted to go to a place. It's like when The Rock goes back to the WWE. When Dwayne Johnson's career starts to slow up, what does he do? He goes to the WWE, the crowd blows up, and Nicki Minaj is just letting y'all know that she's 43 and that she doesn't have the backing of the industry and that it took a minute, but the industry has made it very clear that they're looking past her and, you know, her and her audience is not a bunch of young females. The females in their 20s ain't really bumping Nicki Minaj like they used to. Hey, that's the way of things. Beyonce, the chicks in their 20s ain't bumping Beyonce like they used to. They're finding whole new people to play their music on TikTok when they put up a video or something. So, I mean, at this point right now, it's just the industry is ravenous. Nicki is only able to hang in there because, you know, Cardi B wanted to have some children. And, you know, whether it's Lotto or Ice Spice, what I say is they haven't really gained traction because they haven't really been talented, but it doesn't really matter because the industry is already looking for the next new hot chick. So remember, they just cycled everybody, y'all. Doja Cat. We can go down the list. Remember when I told y'all that Doja Cat was going to be, she wasn't even going to be a one-hit wonder. She didn't even get the hit out the damn door. So Tinashe, Doja Cat, Lotto, Ice Spice. That's already run its course. No disrespect. Benzino's daughter. No disrespect. You know, they haven't really caught traction. Yeah, Coyle Ray. They haven't really caught traction. But you all know how it's going to go. The industry is going to create another plant. That's what it does. It created Nicki. Nicki is a product. And eventually they're going to roll out a new product. Because it's what they do. And Nicki knows that you can't really make it if the machine isn't willing to put the money behind you. And by the money, I don't just mean the money to make an album. They got to put the money behind you for marketing, for promotion, for publicity. So it's going to be hard for you to come up. I mean, Nicki, I'm just letting y'all know, right? For the folks talking about, Jay, you know about this? Okay, dude, come on. Nicki has been openly taking shots at Jay-Z. She's openly been flaming Jay-Z. She's been clowning him about the failed casino attempt up there in New York. I mean, when you going at Jay-Z, that's it. What you're saying is I'm off the system. You don't go at Jay-Z and still be plugged in. That's not the way that works. Even Drake hasn't gone at Jay-Z like that. And we know there's animosity. Drake ain't gone to Jay-Z like that. Lil Wayne has not gone at Jay-Z like that. Nicki Minaj she came out of Jay-Z the way she did at Cardi B. So what that tells you is that, yeah, her time in the music industry is over. Because you all know how Jay-Z get down. He's going to make a bunch of phone calls behind the scenes. But then again, they probably already did it. They're going to make a bunch of phone calls behind the scenes, and all of a sudden you can't get booked on this program. You can't get booked on this show. You can't get in the Rolling Loud. You know, you can't get in a Lollapalooza all of a sudden. So, folks, I mean, that's it. She got to get out here and freestyle on her own. And what she's also showing you is that a lot of her audience is white. So she's going to go talk to her audience. Who shows up at Turning Point? People who shows up at CPAC, middle-aged white women. She's going to go talk to her audience. She's going to go let them know, hey, you're the Babs too. Hey, I identify with you too. Yeah, because she can't get no love over here on this side. So she's going where the low-hanging fruit is. And I wanted to show this picture right here. You talking about Nicki Minaj on stage. You missed the whole damn point. The whole point is right here on your screen. This is the part you missed. I didn't miss anything. You missed this. Take a look at their faces. The white men, the white women, front, back, everybody got a grin on their faces. They're either smiling big or smiling small, but they're all smiling. They either big smiling or small smiling, but all of them are smiling, just like I told you they would. And so there they are. So, yes, Nicki Minaj went to go speak to her audience. And that includes Erica Kirk. I mean, do you see how soft and demure Erica is? Oh, yeah, one more thing.
What is your reaction? Amen. Or like, what are you too busy building, right?
Yeah,
By the way, do y'all see what Nicki is wearing? One more thing. Do you see what Nicki is wearing? Nicki didn't show up in her slut clothes, now did she? Nicki didn't show up to flop out that raggedy BBL, now did she? You want to talk about the details you missed? Take a look at how Onika showed up. Why she didn't show up at all the way she usually does. Now, did she? Oh, okay. So all that cooning and clowning and hoeing and thotting, oh, they do know better than that. Oh, okay. Because a lot of y'all thought they didn't know any better. You all thought that was real. Oh, you didn't know that. Yeah, they do know better than that. Yeah, they do know better. By the way, legs crossed and everything. Oh, isn't she just a sophisticated gal today? Not wearing the clear heels. Shout out Chris Rock. Oh, yeah, she put the thottery to the side. Yeah. Oh, she's dressed very presentable and very conservative and nothing unpresentable here today. Okay. And do you see how nice and polite Erica is with her? She's talking to her audience. Now, there were some folks who said that Charlie Kirk had some criticisms about Nicki Minaj. Okay. Did that stop Turning Point? I'm not saying Erica Kirk. I'm saying Turning Point. Did that stop Turning Point from bringing her up there? Nope. Oh, yeah. And one more thing. For those of you who didn't understand the rules of the game, if Charlie was alive today, he would welcome Nicki Minaj on that stage too.
And deal with it.
Just in case you didn't understand this WWE-ism. By the way, if Charlie Kirk were still alive, and Nicki Minaj wanted to come to Turning Point, hell yeah, he would have her there. Not yeah, but hell yeah. Just in case you didn't get it and you didn't understand it, just in case you were confused, and I see there were some folks who were very confused, and I hate it when Jason condescended me. It's not condescending, it's math. Clearly you didn't calculate this on your own. You thought that was real, or at least you read a whole lot more into that than that was. Who pays Nicki Minaj's bills? I guarantee you, if you take a look at that, you're going to see a lot of the same names behind Turning Point. It is what it is. It is what it is. You're just the one who didn't calculate that. So, by the way, it's not about, well, Erica's there. If Charlie was alive and if Nicki wanted to go, he would have her. You're reading a whole lot more into it than there is. But if Nicki wanted to go, he would have her there. He'd have her there. No. I mean, Candace, no. It's Nicki Minaj she's got 2 decades of thottery on the track on her resume. So that'd be more problematic than if she wanted to go up there and do that. But I'm just telling you, it wouldn't have changed anything. Some folks are confused. No. This is just another day in white America. Those of you in black America do not understand what you're looking at. Unless you follow what I do here. Those of you who follow me, and you already knew this, but to the rest of them, it's, she went to Turning Point. I'm shocked. Okay, so everything I said a decade ago when I called her out about that a decade ago, and yes, she knows exactly who the hell I am. When I called it out a decade ago and she started throwing shade online. Okay. Yeah, I checked that about Malcolm X and she's just showing you she is the same Nicki. Same Nicki Minaj. Same one. Except now she's prepping for a soft landing because she's getting too old to lead the industry. So now she's trying to get her heat back. That's where you're at. Here's the issue. The issue is, how did this work out for all the others? By the way, people, this is the 720 degrees of analysis you'll receive absolutely nowhere else. While other folks were talking about this, that, and the other, highlight about the age and then highlight about, by the way, how this worked out for the others who tried it. Nicki has not been the first. She won't be the last. But by the way, did this tactic work for any of the others? Did this work out for any of the others? All the others who tried this, it's just a conveyor belt, man. It's a conveyor belt. And that's what it does. That's the bad news. Here's the good news. The good news is these are desperation tactics. This is what you do when you look at your internal numbers behind the scenes and the numbers aren't good. Nicki Minaj is prepping because she needs whatever she does next musically. It got to hit. It's got to hit. Because the fact that they were hyping Cardi B and talking about, even though they were adding up songs that she released years ago, the industry is making it very clear to Nicki that they're trying to pull that title down. Nicki needs whatever she does next to hit. And what she's showing you is that her internal numbers and whatever she's looking at, those numbers are not looking great. You don't do something like this if your internal numbers look good. Also, one more thing. By the way, did Erica Kirk ask Nicki Minaj about all the things that she said about Cardi B's children? What? Damn! Damn! Oh, yeah, one more thing. Did Erica, Christ is King Kirk, did she ask any questions about all that stuff that Nicki Minaj said about Cardi B's kids? Or is that the free speech zone too? Yeah, y'all can go. I mean, I've covered this before. I think I covered this on my other YouTube channel. But I mean, she was calling Cardi B's children. She was addressing them directly by name. Talking about, it's too bad that you're ugly and stupid and like your mom. I mean, okay. Did I'm just curious now. Did Erica ask about anything else, or is that out of bounds? Or is Erica a fan? So, yeah, by the way, I'm just saying, for those of you who thought I wasn't paying attention, were you paying attention to what didn't get asked? What didn't get said? Or did you pay attention to that? Yeah, man. Welcome to the Thunderdome. Welcome to the Thunderdome. So look, folks, this is what you do when the folks in the industry have let you know that, yeah, they're not going to back you after this. You start going to the grassroots yourself. You start trying to galvanize independent sales yourself because the machine is about to move on. And for Nicki Minaj to do what she's done this year, she attacked Jay-Z. Now she's sitting up. I mean, the biggest slut in hip hop is sitting up here on the Christ is King stage with Christ followers in the audience all laughing and smiling. Yeah, this is a pivot. This is a pivot because the machine has let her know officially, yeah, we ain't with you. So she's trying to pivot and see if she can hold up independent sales of her own. And she's gone, when you're going this far outside of black society, it's like, yeah, this tells you she got some phone calls from some white people to let her know what won't be happening with her next album. So this to me has desperation written all over it. And I guess she figures, like Eric Bischoff said, controversy creates cash. It does. It also creates enemies.
And deal with it, nigga.
You're correct, Onika. Controversy does create cash if it's done properly, but it also creates enemies. And eventually you end up losing both. So you have to play that game very carefully and thread that needle very carefully. I do not think that the Barbs are willing to go follow you down this road. I don't think the Barbs are willing to follow you down this road because, you see, they don't get the same reception in society that you get. You can be Nicki Minaj. I don't think they'll give you the same reception. Let me go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom right quick. I'm going to try to get a couple of folk up here. Let me see here. Takrika, please make sure you go ahead and turn your camera and microphone turned on for me just so we don't have any trolling issues. There you go. All right. Well, you look familiar. All right. What's on your mind?
I was just calling to say hi and thank you. Thank you for everything you do.
All right. Well, all the family's all here.
Yes, we're all here. We're all here listening in.
All right. Bonnets are us. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. We appreciate that. All right. They got all the kids sitting around and stuff. There's, you know, I felt for a minute they're like, she's about to try to hit me with the child support thing. What? Just when the folks, because they were back there looking shaped, they were sneaking around for a little bit. I'm like, okay, she's on there. That's the only one I saw. And I see these kids jumping there and stuff. And expecting somebody to say, Daddy? And this, wait a minute, hold on. We finally got him. It's Christmas. He ain't gonna. It's Christmas. He can't deny it now. So, yeah, don't sneak up on me with the kids. It's just, I saw her and then the kids. I saw one. I saw another. She starts moving around. Like, wait a minute, what's about to happen here? What's about to happen here? Hope it don't get that far along. All right, let me go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom right quick. Let me see if I can get Blanco up here on Zoom for me. Blanco might have got up and run off there for a minute. No, I'm just saying, don't even false flag. It's like, no. Pin that one on another Negro, not me. Don't pin it on me. Pin it on the other fellow over there. Don't do that one. Don't Bill Cosby me. I got work to do. All right, Blanco, what's on your mind?
Jason, great broadcast, man. So when I'm 32 right now. So when I was 16, starting out working, my mom told me to put down, I'm going back to the Nick Fuentes thing. So my mom told me to put down that I was white. I mean, both my parents are born in Cuba. Yeah, but, however I look and shit, right? So I did that for a couple interviews. But then, just out of my own curiosity, I started just putting down Hispanic. And I would still get these job interviews. I would still get, the callbacks and whatnot. But I noticed that immediately there's a shift in the conversation. There's a shift in your qualifications and what have you. And I'd rather be, known to be Hispanic than to technically lie, and be white, and no mother likes to see their kid, struggle and whatnot. But I'd rather deal with my integrity than have to technically weasel around with, these terminologies and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, you hit a great point right there.
Well, and I gotta say, a major driver for that has been the females, because the females are looking for protection and provision, so they're more likely to go along to get along. When empires and colonizers and invaders start showing up, you find out if your women are really down for you when the invader starts showing up. When the invader starts showing up, a lot of men find out their woman ain't solid, so at all. And here's the issue: they start giving you female compromising and coping tactics. The problem is that's not going to work for you. That's the issue. I mean, you might be able to get a little ways with it, but that's not really going to be something you can trade on like she does, because you're a threat in a manner in which she's not. You're a threat in a way that she isn't. So she's giving you the tools she got, but even then, like I say, they're still off code as hell. Because, she knows better than that. And it's like, well, don't worry. Just keep your head low. You're never going to be able to keep your head low enough to prevent that. There's no way. There's no way, ma'am. They see him. They see him. At the end of the day, at some point, your ass got to walk through that door. And when you do, whatever the good impressions were, and whatever the kind words were before you walk through that doors, oh, wait a minute. All that just changes. That sound of the record scratching when it comes off the needle. Yeah, it's that right there.
That's kind of been, the whole thing. Like, whenever I would do that, don't get me wrong. Like, I even get the conversations of, oh, you're one of the good ones from, black employees or even black bosses, Hispanic bosses or whatever. And I get that. And I understand where that's coming from and all that. But then it further proves the whole point of what you're saying, but back then, now you're moving on to Nicki Minaj and whatnot. But like, that's kind of the whole point, though, that like you said, they only became white, 50 years ago, the Italians and Hispanics and whatnot. Slavery was an institution for such a longer time that they pretend like, well, my mom was white, so now I'm white. Well, no, bro, that's not how it works. Like, you've been, just like Kyle said, that like you've been the other for such a long time that you're acting really brand new to behave like, oh, America first. This is the heritage stuff. Like, bro, you're not part of it. So yeah, I just wanted to chime in.
Well, now when you talk about Latinos, though, they were white. They were Spaniards. They were white. So that was never, we talk about the Pope and everything else, the Pope, European colonizers, the Spaniards were in the thick of it. So their whiteness was never in question. However, their imperialist status was. So when it became inconvenient because we beefing and we got wars and stuff going on, and it's like, okay, we going all the way out, y'all got to get out. But that was more on socioeconomics. Whose empire is going to run things. But these are white empires fighting with each other all over the damn place. England versus France, France versus England, England versus Spain. We can go down the list all the way back to the Romans if you want to. So whiteness was never the argument until things got settled and it's time to divide the spoils. And if you've decided it's more of it on your plate than on theirs, all of a sudden they're out of whiteness. So their whiteness was not an issue for the majority of the country clean through the 20th century till we get to the 70s. And once again, I got to remind y'all, they made songs about it and everything. Down in the West Texas town of El Paso, I fell in love with a Mexican girl. You can go look it up for yourselves. That was a white man. And, Christopher Cross, Ride Like the Wind, love that song. We got such a long way to go to make it to the border of Mexico. That was a very common thing. So white people, and remember, it hasn't even really been 2 decades since you could go to since you were required to have a passport to go to Mexico. There were some idiots, by the way, I want to just remind them once again, because yes, when you get in here and dispute me, I'm going to drag you till the end of time. Had some clowns talking about you couldn't get into Mexico with a passport since the 70s. I'm like, no, you just don't know any better. So just sit and be stupid. But yeah, man, it's really only been in recent history that you needed a passport to get into Mexico. Okay, but That's why they want that border to be open. So you're talking about illegals, but by the way, white folk they want free access and free travel. They're the ones who insist on that. So locking down the border doesn't really jive with them. They want to be able to cross that border from California to Mexico as freely as anybody else. There's the issue. And if you lock that border down, you're locking it down for everybody, not just traffic going north. So I want to remind you all, they were white. The Spaniards were white. It's only once we start getting into too many Negroes showing up, when they talk about the Taino Indians, it's too many Negroes showing up. You're getting too dark. You can't pass for white anymore. Because I want you all to understand what the phenotype thing is. The phenotype thing is very, very simple, people. Listen to me very, very carefully. If I can shave your ass with no facial hair, what do you look like? There's the phenotype argument, folks. And you know that you're a white Latino, or at least you can pass for it if we can shave off all your facial hair and you can pass. That folks got to sit there and look at you crazy. Oh, I talked about folks like that before. Everybody knew about Sophia Loren. They didn't know about Raquel Welch. Raquel Welch was white until her career was all the way over. And it was only I think the last decade of her life that she, quote, finally came out of the closet as Latina. She made a whole press announcement about it and everything. So she didn't want to leave this world passing for white. But she wanted to let you know, by the way, I'm Latina. Always have been. Okay, but that wasn't the way she was treated. So she didn't get the Sophia Loren treatment. She got to have the brunette bombshell treatment. Okay. And we ain't got to go into Charlie Sheen and whatnot. We don't have to go into that. But what I'm saying is that, yeah, they were always white. And they were accepted on white terms until it politically and socially was no longer convenient. That happens in the 70s. Okay, man, we got too many Negroes coming in here, and white society's getting worried about the consequences of it. And you have a Civil Rights Act now, and is they going to get these folks over here rights? And they go, okay, we got to make some distinctions and vote some people off the island. That's when the 1970s happened. And ever since then, the society has been trying to cope with how do we maintain a white majority when we're not doing the replacement numbers and we're not giving the economy necessary for them to keep doing that in the first place. The only other option is to immigrate in some new white folk. Well, getting them direct from Europe's not an option anymore. So what do you do? What do you do? And I'm just telling you, under desperate circumstances, what they will do is be like, okay, don't worry about the first generation, worry about the second. And even if the mom is Latina, the white genes are going to be strong enough to wash that out in one generation. All they need is one generation for the Latino kids. Now, for the Afro-Latino kids, you're going to need a little bit more gunpowder than that. But for the white Latinos, we can clean them genes up in one generation. We can clean that up in one generation. For the Asians, we'll get y'all straightened too. For the Latinos, one generation. Asians, two. All right. Next, and by the time you get to that second or third generation, they will be indistinguishable both phenotypically and socially. That's the critical one. How do you identify? They will be indistinguishable by the time you get to that second generation. They will all be speaking English. They will all be talking about great Uncle George Washington. They will all be talking about how great their credit is. By the time you get that second generation, that's a wrap. So when Michael Knowles talks about rolling people into whiteness, they don't want to talk about that genetic washing. That sounds a little icky. That sounds like, kind of genocidal there. But no, we're going to wash y'all out. We're going to wash you out, and by the time we get there you go. Yeah, with Nick Fuentes, have you ever seen a more ardent white supremacist? Okay, but that's not new. That's not new. Folks talk about LULAC and whatnot, but that's really not new, to be totally honest. That's really not new. We've never had a spot where we were really accepted over there like that. You can't, I'm not talking about Southern California. I'm talking about Dominican Republic. You name one spot where they speak Spanish where you think we get love at. Go ahead and name that for me. Name that for me. You can try to throw Cuba in there. I'm ready for you. You can try to throw Cuba in there. I'm ready for that one.
No, you know what the
you don't really want it.
The best part about that is during communism, it turns out that it's not just my grandmother that says this. Everybody says this. the black neighbors actually had more resources to communally share than the white Spaniard Cubans. Fascinating because, but they still hate black Cubans for some, you know what I mean? It's crazy, dude. It's like, dude, that's your people right there. Yeah, but like that's a different class. What do you mean it's a different class? It's your people. That's your neighbor. Like, what are you talking about? But yeah.
If anybody is operating under the misnomer or the delusion that Fidel Castro set up a colorblind society, all I'm going to say to you is, dude, take a look at the folks in power in Cuba. I'm not even going to go any further than that. You take a look at the Cuban government, man. You take a look at the folks who call the shots. You take a look at the folks who are really in power there, and it looks the same as everywhere else. So you can tell yourself that if you want to just really grope for something. I got the data. I can show you the faces and the names. You can't show me a damn thing except your hopes and your dreams. So to anybody who's under that delusion, willfully so, you can't show me any black power structure in Cuba. You can't show me any black power structure in the government. And it's like anywhere else. They're perfectly fine with you as long as you're not a threat and you're powerless. As long as you can't call any shots and call any hands. And that's the same as everywhere else. A white man does not have a problem. Like, for example, somebody said in the chat room, Christina Aguilera, she get love from white men all day. You know why? Because if you have kids with her, they will be Anglos.
Don't buck the system either.
Oh, you can tell me that if she gives birth to white children that they will not look Anglos. Tell me that they will not be a bunch of Anglos coming out. You can't. You can't. They'll be blonde hair, blue eyed, the whole damn 9 yards. The most annoying thing might be they might be brown eyed. It just depends, but that's just a slight annoyance. Okay, but that'll get taken care of the next generation. Okay, just one more white coupling, and that's taken care of. So, like I say, I mean, they wouldn't have any problem with that. And that's the way they think about it. Folks don't think that way. That's the way they think about it. If he gets with a Latina chick, especially if she's got the right features and stuff, it's like, oh, we got that taken care of. That's taken care of. It's not a threat. They go on basis of threats. She's not a threat. That's not a threat because he's not going to teach his children to go get with one of the Afro-Latinos. He'll have children with this Spanish chick, and the both of them are going to tell them to improve the damn race. They're going to have kids. You can have kids with the Spanish chick, and both of them will be telling you improve the race. And that's it. Yeah, there's a little speed bump, but mama's on the same thing. Mama's only regret, your Spanish mama's only regret is that she wasn't whiter. So that's not an insult to her. That is not an insult to her. Her only regret is that she's not whiter, and she does not take that as an insult. When you say that she could, too bad she's not whiter, she's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Fuentes is the same damn way. Come on, man. Nick Fuentes, Enrico Terrio, we can go down the list. Their only regret is that they weren't whiter. You're not insulting them by talking about the greatness of the white race. Their only regret is that they're not whiter. And their only desire is to get a white woman so they can improve the damn genes. He's looking at him. If he can't be accepted, at least give his kids a shot at it. So they're willing to accept that. That's not insulting or demeaning to them. They understand their less than white status, and they're okay with this. So no, and I say that, they were in whiteness, then they got kicked out of it, and they've been trying to piece their way back into it ever since. And even there's a reason why they still say, are you white Hispanic? Because they at least want to find out who's going to volunteer the information. But I told y'all going on 2 decades ago, most of them identify as white. Just white, period. Is white on their damn documents. You will not find out if you're talking to a Latino unless you meet them in person or unless you see them in the right vein. But other than that, no. And that's what they've been living on. So it's not new, man. It's not new. They're trying to figure out how to navigate that thing. But everybody who can get out of Latino-ness and get out of white Hispanic into just straight whiteness, everybody who can is already trying to do it. Everybody who can is already trying to do it. Now, it messes you up if you got one of those surnames. What? That kind of messes you up because even if you pass the phenotype test, wait a minute, Perez.
Right.
Wait a minute, Gonzalez. Whoa, Alvarez. Like, oh, okay.
Right.
All right.
Well, come in person, and let's really have a conversation. So, because they really want to see what the phenotype is. Like, oh, okay, you're not what I thought you were going to look like with Perez.
If you get that far along, but just so you know how the technique works, there's some hurdles they got to go through. But just keeping it a $1.03, everybody who can smuggle out is already trying to do it. If there's an obstacle in their way, then they got to wait a minute, till they can get out of it. But for the males, it usually doesn't work. For the females, it's easier. The women can get married and get that last name up off of them. And, I'm starting over a new life over here. For the males, is a bit more complicated for them. So they just kind of got to hold that. But if they get the kids and stuff, it's like, okay, maybe they can take mama's name or something. And so that's where you're at. That's where you're at.
Real quick, I'll land my plane with this. It's very fascinating in Southern California. It's fascinating, Jason, to see how white Hispanics are in everyday conversations, in their business dealings and whatnot. But at a moment's notice, oh no, you don't understand. I'm not white. I'm ethnic. Like, meaning that, like, when it comes time for reparations, for cutting the check, for running through white people's pockets, that is when they decide to be Hispanic. Oh, we got loud parties. We got 15 different grandmas and grandpas and 48 cousins and whatnot. We got parties everywhere. Oh, fuck those white people. Oh, okay, cool. But at the office, you have a very different demeanor. You see what I'm saying? So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'd rather be Hispanic and judge for that. Too white to be Hispanic, too Hispanic to be white. But I'd rather be Hispanic than play this weird politics game that at the end of the day doesn't matter because you're still going to die and you're going to be forgotten after 100 years. So who cares that you got a job today because you lied about that you were white or Hispanic? Like, you're only hurting yourself in this endeavor to bring America all together. You're doing yourself a disservice in your family. But yeah.
I mean, look, it's about your character, man. As I said, at the end of the day, money doesn't buy character. Education doesn't buy character. So all this stress does is just demonstrate what people are made of. And I prefer that. Folks will lie to you, but they won't lie to circumstances. When you start looking at their pockets and what you're going to take out of it, now let me see how you react to that. And the real thing is going to show itself. And the great thing about the 21st century is we can document all of it. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. Yeah, y'all. We've been on here for a minute. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. To all my true ones out here, I want y'all to understand, I see you. This is what we do. This is what we do because this is what it means to be real. You didn't take time away from your family. You are with your family. Matter of fact, you could not keep your sanity if you were required to be around everybody else in the play act with them. Whatever you were doing before I came on tonight, that was the fake. That was the phony. That was the facade. That was the mask. What you've been doing here, that's the real thing. And I'm honored to once again be holding court with all of my brothers and all of my sisters, all of my sons and all of my daughters from all around the world. It has become a tradition amongst us. You got folks who are about to become adults you're about adults about as long as we've been doing this out here. We've been doing this longer than some of you been alive. That's not a fly-by-night thing, people. This is the new normal. This is the new normal. And I want you to take that to heart. You want to talk about a culture? This is the culture of resistance. And the culture of innovation. Everybody else is going left, we going right. Everybody else is going right, we going left. Everybody else is bowing and buck dancing, we standing at attention. Everybody else gets quiet, we get loud. They get loud, we get quiet. We're always looking for a new lane. This is what we do. This is what we do. Thank you to everyone who has contributed for tonight's program here. Fuquan, Rodney Scott, thank you very much for your support here as well. James, Rhonda, as always, Donnell, and everyone else here tonight in the Super Chat, Venmo, PayPal. Thank you all very much for your support. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend. Holidays, as you can tell. Some days in between. But as you've heard here tonight, the 720 degrees of analysis you receive absolutely nowhere else. We don't take holidays off. We are always on the job. It's not just the new black media, it's the new black society. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to blackchannelfilms.com, check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work at blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank all of you for tuning in tonight's program live or recorded. Thank you all, but especially for those of you live, because you are the real ones. All the others will sneak in later. Oh, I'm busy. Okay. My real ones were here live. All the ones who got work to do will be listening recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.